It's the heart and soul of our sport, where these players strive to become who they're truly meant to be.
No more break, it's time for action. Welcome to Overwatch Contenders.
Hello everyone, and welcome back. We got our second stream of the day here at Contenders. It's North America for the second half of the day, and to round things out, I got Hirix here with me. Hirix, we're about to go on a bit of a journey today, aren't we?
Yeah, pretty wild one. We definitely have a lot cooking behind the scenes, trying to figure out exactly who's going to make it, who's going to get in, what is the seating going to look like. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to be going over today, and of course, it is going to be a pretty interesting one as well on broadcast. In front of your eyes, we got some good matches. Timeless taking on Good Boys, Rift taking on Dragon Dance. These are important matches, not just for seeding, obviously, but also Timeless and Rift. Those are two teams that are, funny enough, still battling to the final day for that last spot into the playoffs.
Yeah, the only two teams in contention for that ace spot are Rift and Timeless. And Rift has come out to a not insignificant lead in that race after yesterday 3-0ing Timeless in a really critical match. It's really hard to put into perspective what that did to these standings, and that map advantage alone, picking up 3 more maps to their differential, what that did for Rift.
Yeah, and you can see the standings here, of course. A lot of things have shifted. You saw Pirates of Pajamas slip down the standings as well. They had an unfortunate circumstance there. I think they're without Strider this week, so that's going to make them fall a little bit. But guess what? They're locked into the playoffs. They probably don't mind all that much. Of course, we do have Saints as well, still performing despite not having Cal on the team as of yesterday as well, moving up to Los Angeles Gladiators.
Shout out Cal,
man. Heck yeah, yep, definitely good. But yeah, other than that, we still, of course, have a lot yet to be determined. You saw that there was obviously just as much parity as we saw last season, which, I mean, when you think about the spring split, that was kind of the story. It was just how close everybody was. Kind of feels the same here this time around as well.
Yeah, it comes down to the final day, and with that, I think we have to start focusing in on our first match, because for Timeless, they gotta get what they can done out of the way early, and then put their hands together and pray. Timeless need a 3-0 against Good Boys, and then they need a 3-0 in the second match should they want to qualify. I mean, it is not a short shot, that's for sure, but fortunately, they're starting off with the game in their hands. They at least get some precedence over this should it go their way.
Yeah, and the funny thing is I'm not entirely sure that Timeless is entirely aware that the situation is what it is, because I've been talking to Kuffa a little bit, and they're like, and I was like, yeah, it's just 2-3-0s, that's all you got to worry about. And he's like, yeah, we only got one game. And it's like, okay, but there's a whole other team, man. I mean, so yeah, I'm not sure if they're aware or not, but either way, that's the situation they're in. But you can see the roster. It's a team that was able to make it to finals just last split. Now they're fighting for a chance to even get into the playoffs.
Yeah, this core is really powerful, right? You look at the DPS line in the tank, Wub, Doomed, Kuffa, Clear sitting on the bench as well. Incredible stuff. Scuffed and Sobek coming in this season, filling for Cal and Carrots, really taking up the reins in a position that was well filled by those two and doing a pretty solid job of it. But those are kind of the two question marks that you look at Timeless when you look for this season. They're going to be going up against Good Boys' backline, who is also notably pretty strong in Pascal and Noctis.
Yeah, of course. Good Boys, they're a team that I think has, to a degree, surprised, because you, of course, saw teams like Strix really popping off early on, and then Good Boys has slowly worked their way up. They're now able to make it into the playoffs, and this is a team that has definitely done well with what they have got, right? Salty being able to come through, being a solid performer. One thing that I will say with Timeless and Good Boys, and you and I were talking about this before the break a little bit, that could be something that Timeless may be able to leverage, might be that DPS lineup, but I will say Thunder has definitely put up some big performances in the past, so not too sure just yet.
Yeah, Thunder's been a star player for a couple of teams in some important matches, but to go up against Timeless's DPS line, Wub and Doomed, you're talking about one of the most veteran lineups in North America in terms of DPS. They bring a lot to the table, especially in games like today where, whether they know it or not, there's a lot on the line.
Oh yeah, big time. And yeah, they might figure it out pretty soon. Who knows? I'm not sure exactly how that's going to go, but either way, they're still going to be playing for the win, so there's no real concern whether they know or not. Either way, you talk about that DPS line, Wub and Doomed, and the veterancy there and the experience. Yeah, they've been around for a long time. Obviously, Wub also with Overwatch League experience, playing with Paris when they were over there as well, the Eternal, but I mean, it's going to have to take an entire team effort, because it's not just about winning the series here. They do need that 3-0 if they want to be able to make it into the playoffs, on top of just that other game that they're not even, having a hand in because of what we saw transpire yesterday. But regardless of all of that, let's just go ahead and focus on what we have in front of us now, and that's going to be map number 1. It's already, of course, locked in here in the round robin stage, and we've got Oasis.
And Oasis, I think, feels pretty good for Timeless. I think comfortable with Kuffa being on the tank line. We were talking earlier about what Kuffa and Clear bring to the table. They should be, in theory, pretty set for this meta. It's a question of whether or not over on the other side, Salty is ready for what is quite literally an assault of heroes coming at him, whether it be from Kuffa or from Clear, just given the flexibility of either player.
Yeah, I think certainly when I think about Salty, I'm thinking about a whole bunch of different heroes. Some of them tanks, some of them DPS, because that's just the situation with Salty. In fact, in some cases, I'm kind of curious why we wouldn't see some of the other options that they do have. This is a team, Good Boys, that has a lot of options, at least with regards to the tank as well. I mean, Avani's even on this roster. We've seen Avani pop off both at the collegiate and even the contenders level at times as well, where we've seen some really solid performances. My mind gets drawn back to Coliseo personally, but either way, not going to be seeing him here, at least on Oasis. Salty coming in, so yeah, Good Boys definitely could throw a wrench into anybody's plans because of just what they can bring. It can be a little bit different at times, but either way, Timeless is a fairly solid team, and we expect, especially based on the performance from Spring Split, that they should be able to perform well here, which is why it's surprising to see them here now battling for 8th.
Yeah, the fact that Timeless is down here at all, I think less speaks to a failure on Timeless's fault and more just what on earth is happening in North America for the past 2 splits. It's been a real rough show for some teams, but we only got 8 qualification spots, and unfortunately one of those is getting decided today. For Timeless, though, I'm a little worried. We're looking at this, and the more I think about it, the more I think about the width of pools that these teams bring to the table in terms of what they can play, in terms of what they might want to roll out on. I'm a little worried for Timeless, because usually in that situation where everything is so dynamic, you end up having to feel each other out a lot. And Timeless doesn't have time to feel things out. They need a 3-0. There's no other option for them. So I think they need to roll out on something they're confident on. For me, I want to see it. At least just comfort picks from Kuffa in particular, and building the team around that, because we know the rest of the team can do exactly that. And as long as they can maintain that driver's seat through the first map, I feel like Timeless will get off to a great start.
Yeah, one thing I'm looking for as well with regards to Timeless is going to be that connection between Wub and Kuffa. If Kuffa and Wub are connected very well throughout this series, you're going to see some really, really strong moments between those two. You've seen it before from them, this split, last split, we saw it as well. If you watch them at all in ranked, if you play against them or with them in ranked, you see it all the time. They like to bicker with each other, but deep down, they're some good friends, and they definitely connect well at times. So they're going to need that if they're going to be able to pull this one out. But against Good Boys, it's tough to say. We do see the Junker Queen composition coming out, and this is what I'm talking about with Good Boys. They do provide something a little bit different than what you would see from some of the other teams here, even in NA.
Yeah, this might not have been what Timeless was expecting 100% of the time, but there's very little predicting what Good Boys were ever going to run out on. Fortunately, I think Timeless comp, especially with the Sojourn, is very safe. There's a lot of escape here for this particular DPS player. Fortunately, escapes right back into the welcoming arms of Salty, who takes the first pick out of it. The Timeless came away with the high ground, so they're able to leverage that into what looks to be a pretty quick win here.
Yeah, as long as Timeless are going to be able to just hold out and not get immediately run over, you might lose 1 or 2 bodies maybe, but as long as you can just outlast them, they are going to be very successful in doing that. You can see that right here. Good Boys slowly but surely getting whittled away.
Maybe a little too slowly? Under down, they're juggling the point really well here. Can Lucio get on to touch? No. Noctis backs away. And now all these picks that looked like they were just going to try and stagger out the points so they could get players back to contest are now just staggering time off the clock.
Yeah, I think this is a good start here for Timeless. They were really solid about their immediate reaction to Good Boys. Good Boys had a good entrance. Now the worry here for Timeless is, can you get some of those defensive options up and ready before Rampage comes up, before Pole Spawn comes out, and Good Boys start running you down?
Bumpers. You heard it connect on someone. It's Doomed. Hitting the floor first. Good Boys follow up with a Rampage as well. Antis the rest of the team. Wub, Kuffa, and Silvek not in good standing with their health bars. Good Boys take an easy flip.
You gotta wonder how that even happens, right? I mean, a May of all things, you have an Invuln, and then you also have an Immortality as well from Scuffed. I mean, how does that happen? There's a lot of questions there in my mind, but either way, Timeless have to fight their way back in now. Those ultimates we were talking about, those are ready now, but they're going to be walking into the EMP Biz, getting into position, looking for an opportunity.
EMP out, it's on to Doomed, who's taken down in turn. Amp Matrix, though, committed by Timeless, means that they're not quite out of this fight yet. They use it to gain a lot of space forward. They're trying desperately to hold on to some semblance of that, but it does seem a little difficult to really pose a threat to the backline here without the Tracer, and Thunder is happy to deliver in that regard. Salty finishing off Scuffed. That'll be another one going the way of Good Boys.
I almost definitely have to figure this out. I mean, two support ults utilized there, and we're seeing them actually slowly migrate over to a different composition. We've already seen Wub go over to the Reaper. We've seen Scuff now over onto the Moira, so a little bit more sustained long-term here. Also some offensive capability, more pressure onto things like Salty here, but they're going to be walking into Coalescence. They're going to be walking to Sound Barrier. This does not bode well for Timeless.
Not a way out, but through, though. Wub certainly beginning to open a hole in the defenses of Good Boys. Thunder rapidly closing it. Timeless now trying to sustain on the point, but they have no control of this high ground. They have no way to run down those remaining members of Good Boys who are staggering out yet again, just like they did in that first fight. Like mosquitoes around the head of Timeless, they swat away, but they can't land a clean blow.
Oh, they got to figure it out quick. 90% now on the board. Good Boys holding out. Timeless has to pop the Annihilation.
And that feels so bad. Good Boys respond to the Sound Barrier immediately as well. They'll match that sustain ult for sustain ult. Fortunately, Timeless do get the better beat just a bit later. It's stripped off them by an EMP, but not off the most critical players, fortunately. Cuff is able to stay up, but with the help of a Rampage, Good Boys will clean this one right on out. Neither support is up. Down goes the sustain. Up go Good Boys the whole point.
It's a real good start from them. You saw the aggression come out early. It got matched really well initially by Timeless, but over time, we saw Good Boys in a great position to just take advantage of that threat that they have with speed, with that overshield that you can get from Junker Queen as well, and just finding those early picks. You saw even from the Pulse Bomb from Thunder, speaking of, by the way, of the, 17 total kills dealt by Good Boys, 9 of those kills came from Thunder, actually.
9 final blows and 0 deaths on top of that.
Yeah.
With all that point juggling, like, Thunder was not out of the fight. Thunder was very much in there.
50-50 on the predictions. I'm sure Timeless would much rather this be anything but 50-50 for themselves because, yeah, they need a miracle here.
Could be an early end to the night.
Yeah, it's already looking a little grim, but we can see if they can turn it around. They are matching now that composition. Going to be bringing out the Kiriko, though, so we'll see them able to have that extra little bit of utility here as well.
Well, the big thing is the cleanse for Rampage, right? They're giving themselves a lot more options coming into this, as well as matching that Junker Queen. And don't get me wrong, Salty's got a clean Junker Queen, but Puffa's not one to be slept on in that regard. Forcing Salty back to the center of point as they trade 1 for 1. The teeth taken away from Good Boys, though, with Thunder finally taking their first death of the match.
Yeah, Thunder's going to go down, but it might also just be all of Timeless going down at the same time, unless Salty could get taken out, but it looks like Timeless are just in no position to go ahead and push forward, but
I think they are.
Anyways, yeah.
It's been flex support for flex support. Yeah, when both the flex supports fell, Kuffa had more health than Salty, and so it was just a matter of numbers at that point for the step forward to happen for Timeless. They should be able to swing this one over, but again, it's been very slow going, capturing these points properly for Timeless.
I think one thing we've seen from Good Boys is they're just so good at, obviously, like you mentioned already, just kind of juggling the point, making sure that they can continue trying to, discredit Timeless, but also just finding kills when things break down. That is certainly something that you look for in those top-level teams, and Good Boys kind of has that in spades, it seems, from a lot of different angles, but now you're going to see Timeless lying in wait themselves, looking to defend a point. They haven't done this successfully yet so far this series.
Oh, dice for Doomed. Wub goes down, though, and that's the EMP unavailable. Good Boys now have a trump card if they can just get it charged up. They might not even need to, though. The Rampage was more than large enough to finish things off from Salty.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely so. And yet again, it's just Timeless unable to defend. Once they actually get in there, they just haven't been able to ward Good Boys off. Now you're going to see EMP for EMP coming into this next one, but with Timeless having that sound barrier, we'll have to see what the timing's going to look like this, or with this one, because Sobek earlier did actually get some of the value stripped away by that EMP from Biz, so definitely have to be mindful of that one.
Early EMP, Sobek down, no sound barrier to respond. Wub holds the EMP close to the chest as well. Is willing to reset. Now, a significant ultimate advantage in the hands of Timeless, but it's going to take a lot of leveraging it. Should they want to win this point proper, and with Scuffs going down and more picks fall, this is bad. The ultimate advantage was there, but the more of these picks you give away, the more of that ultimate advantage is slowly clawed back by Good Boys.
Yeah, aggression from Confidence. Now, yeah, that's
no bueno, man.
I would say icing on the cake, but it's the opposite, right? I guess icing on the cake for Good Boys here.
We've smeared dirt on top of our cake. It's really... It was already a cow pie, but now it's just even worse. All right, let's see how things go. Sound barrier and EMP layered. Timeless are committing everything to this fight, and Good Boys just back away, man. They finally get salty, but it is looking dire straits as they're forced to throw in a Kitsune rush as well. I mean, the kitchen sink is an understatement here. They can get away with it because I guess Good Boys don't have ultimates right now, but Good Boys are going to be coming up with ultimates soon, and that's almost certainly going to flip this thing back over, right?
It should, in theory, but as we've seen with Good Boys, they do have a way of finding those picks as they disengage. This time, maybe not so much.
Big stick! That's huge! Counters the Rampage. Salty is a viable target now to take down for Timeless. The Rampage falls through, and the ultimates begin to trickle out of the pockets of Good Boys. You can start to see a way back into this map for Timeless now.
Just about answering this EMP. It just came up for Biz. On top of that, we've got the support ultimates coming online as well. So Timeless need to find ways to get that disengage. Rampage could help a lot. There's the EMP. Cuff is caught.
They wanted that one pick so bad. They greeted for it. Kuffa decides to try and flip the fight on its head. A Rampage into the backline of Good Boys. A response is a sound barrier from Noctis, and it's perfectly timed at that. Completely shuts down any hope of the singular ultimate from Timeless winning that fight. A flip will come through here inevitably for Good Boys, but it was more expensive than I think they wanted. Timeless still have a solid shot at this.
Yeah, I think Timeless have afforded themselves the chance to actually turn this one again. We've got Wub coming up on the EMP. We also have, of course, one of, I think, the more important factors here, as if they can sustain, they've got the kill on Biz as well. It's a 5v4.
Good Boys tried to win it out early, but just overstepped their boundaries massively, vying just for a fight win off the back of what was basically just a coalescence. Wub easily counters with an EMP, and now, yes, 99% is given over to Good Boys, but what do they have for the next fight? Both teams running on empty with a pulse bomb and a prayer in hand.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be walking into the sound barrier as well. Timeless, they're poised now. They feel a lot better. They should feel a lot better as well. That sound barrier might be all the difference that they need here. They're just hunting Biz, Thunder. They're going to be looking to try to contest, and if Timeless can catch them out early, that would be a massive boon in their favor.
Oh, they're down early. They catch them at the choke point. A sound barrier early by Timeless. They need to group on a target here. You're looking at the tank, and Doomed is as well. Salty falls by the wayside. With it, Good Boys' chances at taking this one away. Timeless hold on to their hopes just a bit longer.
Just like that, back into the mix. A round doesn't matter. The map does, though. So they do manage to turn around what looked like an unwinnable scenario there. I mean, I was feeling down a little bit there just myself watching it, but I couldn't imagine what they must have been feeling like when they were sitting there with 30% to like 84 or whatever it was. Nonetheless, Timeless, they claw their way back in and give themselves another shot here, and guess what? It's onto University that we go, and this is likely going to be a similar situation, a similar story with these compositions. It's Junker Queen taking on Junker Queen, and the only difference here... Okay, there we go. I was going to say, Doomed actually going to the Tracer would have been wild, especially on this map. Mei is so strong at just locking down some of those pathways.
Mirror composition, so it's just down to skill at this point. You know, the last one was so close. Is it coming down to, in that critical ultimate situation, you know, Salty getting a pulse bomb landed on them mid-rampage? I imagine a million little plays like that are going to come through tonight, though, if Timeless managed to pull this thing off. For now, it's just Scuffed going down, and Another play being made. Kuppa tries to step forward and hit that back line. Does actually get a lot of damage off with the melees, but don't think the healers are really there to keep him up through it.
Good boys. They win the neutral. You gotta get out a little bit ahead, and we've seen Timeless in these situations kind of struggle to get in there quickly. They lose a little bit of time setting up. Takes a little bit of that time to actually find that way in, and it looks like they're actually just going to go straight into mid. This is going to catch Kuppa. He has to be careful here with these walls.
I mean, my worry is that if this thing goes long, Pascal's going to have Scuffed beat by a country mile, because Scuffed was the first one to go in the last fight. So first ult goes to Good Boys, but first pick goes to Timeless. Pascal's still 20% away, and Salty and a 3v5 now for the remaining members of Good Boys. Should be a pretty easy cleanup for Timeless.
Really solid job there, just breaching that pathway, pulling the wall out, and then finding your way in. Good timing as well on the shot. That's a rampage Good Boys did not want to use, but I guess this is the Good Boys way, right? Fight your way back into it.
All right, Dune versus Biz. It's a Mayoff. It's a Mayoff. Okay, now it's really a Mayoff. We're throwing in Blizzards. This feels mildly personal. Biz decides to set the sights away from Doomed for a moment, allowing Pascal to commit even further into this with a Coalescence. This is an all-in from Good Boys, and it's come up completely empty, but Timeless answer with ultimates of their own in turn, and they'll have the sound barrier to top it all off. Sobek is one Q button away from having the last laugh in this fight. The question is, do they actually want to commit that ultimate? They do. And rightfully so, a massive win for Timeless, but Good Boys, look at the percentage they have ripped away from this fight.
This is just, it feels like a huge error in execution for Timeless, just not able to find some of these killing blows when they desperately need them. They had a situation where they could have flipped at, what, 40-50%, and now it's 83 for Good Boys. You have to be almost perfect now throughout this one, and this is not a map, this is not a round of this map that's easy to go 99% straight, or rather 100% straight. So very difficult here.
Aggressive step with the Death Blossom shout combo. A counter Death Blossom comes out from Thunder though, and Thunder's not traded. Numbers up for Good Boys now as they look to step in with the Blizzard.
Is with one ready. There it goes, unleashed. Can they find anything with it?
I mean, Kuppa's just as good as gone at this point. 80% for certain will start ticking up for Good Boys. The question is, can Timeless get back quick?
It'll be so difficult. They do have that one chance here, but you're going to be seeing them matching a lot of ultimates, and that's not the position that they want to be in, especially when one thing that they're down heavily on is that sound barrier. And when you talk about sustain, Good Boys being able to just outlive, outlast, they've been so good at that, and they have the tools to do it yet again.
Whether Timeless knows or not, their lives are on the line in this very moment. Overtime begins to burn down, and with it, the chances of winning this match, the Rampage massive, the sound barrier just as much so. Salty does manage to survive through all of that though with the help from the Overshield, and pick off Wub. Timeless fall down, and with them, their chances of qualification. Good Boys have ripped it away in a matter of 20 minutes.
An unfortunate way to go out, because now everything you were hoping to fight for today, it's gone, unfortunately. It's just not, it's not in your hands anymore, unfortunately. Everything that transpired yesterday and days prior, weeks prior even, just wasn't enough. Not for Timeless this time around, but there's obviously still something to play for. There are still at least 2 maps, if not more, if Timeless can turn this back around, and now Pride is on the line. They need to make sure they're able to hold out as much as they can. They are a good team that is capable of doing at least that.
Knowing the players and the staff on Timeless, this is not a match they're just going to give up because qualification's out of the question, right? They still want a good placement. They still want as far as they can go, and they still want wins so they can get those sweet, sweet Twitter posts that they love to farm so much.
Yeah, I remember back in, what was it, last year? Maybe. I want to say last year, when we had all those like circus queues going on. Kuppa, I think, had like the most games played in that era of time, and it was like incredible how much he was devoting himself to trying to, you know, improve and get better and everything. This team, every player is like that. There's no shot that they're going to back down. They're not going to bow out, nothing like that. And now it's almost a preventative measure too, right? Good Boys had that outlook, trying to prevent Timeless, knock them out, make sure that they don't have that in route into the playoffs. Now Timeless, they're trying to do much the same. They're trying to decimate Good Boys' morale going into the playoffs if they can do it.
Well, yeah, and this is actually still important for Good Boys. We talk about, 8th place being the last qualifying spot for these teams, but just as much so, we have to talk about what it means between 8th and 7th, because I think I look at the top of this board, you see Saints, Wisp, and Pip all sitting at 7 and 3, and O3 Splash has a strong map differential and that 9 and 1 record, as well as, I think, as far as the eye test goes, just being the strongest team at the current time. It's scary to be in 8th knowing full well that that's the first team that you're going to have to face. So if Good Boys can win this cleanly, or at least, I believe, 2-3, if they lose 2-3, that's the metric for them to hold on to their 7th place spot no matter what. They can dodge that game against O3 Splash. That'd be terrifying going into playoffs.
And not only that, but I think at 5 and 5 with +1, they still have that option to move up as well to 6th as a peak, if I'm not mistaken. So there is opportunity to even climb further, which means maybe a better matchup or a more favorable matchup based off of compositions and dynamics there at play. So
I swear, yeah. Casting the last day of Contenders qualifiers feels like a math test every time.
Yeah, every single time. I will tell you what, it doesn't get any worse than, what was it, 2020. We were doing months back then. It must have been May, June, as we're getting ready to gear up for map number 2, Midtown. We had a 5-way tie in NA and had to do a separate. We had to literally make a separate tournament just for a tiebreaker that we broadcast separately because it was too big of a tiebreaker to not broadcast.
I remember this.
You didn't have rules for it.
Wild times. Yeah, the rulebook just breaks down at some point when the head-to-heads and the map differentials aren't enough.
Yeah, so it's never going to be that bad, luckily. So, yeah, we will have some math tests to go through, some quizzing that we're going to have to, kind of polish up on a little bit, but it's never going to be like that, thankfully. So, yeah, we're going to get ready to get geared up for Midtown. This is, of course, Timeless's map pick. They lost the last map, so it is their choice. And going into this map, I think that we're pretty obviously probably going to be going the route of Ramatra, which I think is sort of Timeless's bread and butter. We've seen in the past them go for things like Winston and the like, but I think Timeless really does like to play things like the Ramatra. They had a lot of favorability last spring series with that, and should be no surprise when you see something like Midtown picked.
Yeah, and I think it leverages that DPS line that we were talking about. Again, we looked at the beginning of the series as somewhere where Timeless could maybe look to gain a leg up, right? Where they have that experience between Wub and Doom, but Thunda and Biz have been rolling through everything. Thunda, like we said, can be at times a little on and off, but is certainly on this game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other surprise here too is the fact that, yeah, Biz is doing well, that back line is doing well, but also Salty on the tank line has been pretty profound as well. Obviously, being able to contend at this level and not just contend and be able to, just kind of exist, but also making a very large impact. We saw a couple of good plays there from Doom to try to shut down when some of those rampages came out. That was solid, but otherwise, Salty was really, really phenomenal in that head-to-head matchup, especially when we saw those Junker Queens in play.
Yeah, I think every player from Good Boys at some point deserves some credit, right? Whether it's the pulse bombs from Thunda, the EMPs, not a single miss from Biz. You'll love to see it. Pascal and Noctis have been killing it in the back line. Not a single missed ultimate. Every sound barrier in response to an appropriate ultimate from the other side. The early coalescences every fight. It's what you like to see, but as the series goes on and the compositions change, you have to suspect that comfort might fall a little bit by the wayside for Good Boys.
Yeah, now it's just about how did they adapt. And one thing that I will say is typically in the past, maybe even up to a year ago, you would see, okay, teams and, fighting for that 6-7 spot, that's where they suffer. That's the adaptability. It's their depth of hero pool, the versatility that they have to be able to adjust mid-game, mid-map, what have you. But with NA, I think one thing that has changed in the last year or so, more than anything else, has been, other than the amount of support players that exist now at this stage, but other than that, has probably just been the ability to adapt. And even teams that are playing 6th, 7th, 8th, I would even go all the way down. There are teams at 10th and 11th that have the ability to adjust and play at a high level with a bunch of different types of compositions. And Good Boys, I think, are going to be answering that call here today, and we'll have to see what approach they want to take. But Timeless here defending, opening with the Junker Queen. So not the Ramatra that I would have actually anticipated. It's the Junker Queen instead.
for Timeless. I mean, they may be anticipating Mirror. At this point, maybe it's just something that they want to play. There's no downside to picking Comfort in this instance. Like we said, they're likely going to be putting their all into this match still, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a little bit more flexibility given the results now. Good Boys will match it on the other side, though not with the Genji and not with the Sojourn. The DPS line is kind of the interesting thing to take a look at here for Timeless and what exactly Doomed can get done.
Yeah, this is like the post-Soldier Overwatch 2 just came out composition, I feel like. But nonetheless, Timeless, they got it rocked, and we've got Wub on the Sojourn looking for a headshot to try to open things up. Doomed already taking way too much pressure now.
I actually think Doomed did a pretty good job of managing that because Good Boys had to extend so far and Salty had to move so far forward in order to land that swing onto Doomed. Salty pays the ultimate price at the end of the day. I felt like that was pretty well measured, actually, by the Genji.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, if you are able to kind of bait people forward, oh, Doom got caught there, and Good Boys, they might actually be able to retaliate with this one.
It'll be a quick turnaround. Immediately back on the Doomfist as well is Salty, putting Wub in a bit of a corner. And right back to spawn. The immediate combo. How do you contend with this? Separated away from their spawn. Timeless can wait on this high ground, but it's an easy assault for Good Boys who have all the verticality they need to get up here.
On top of that, Salty, actually a demon on the Doomfist. I don't know if you've ever played against it, but it is not fun to play against, and now you're seeing Timeless have to deal with it as well, and they're probably feeling the exact same thing that I've felt in the past. Absolute demon on this character. Tough to deal with, and now, of course, once you let it loose, it just makes it all the more difficult, especially when Kuffa's getting chain hacked and cannot react.
Yeah, having been on the wrong end of this matchup, playing Reinhardt and Junker Queen plenty of times, it's not fun. It's not fun. Every single swing that Kuffa goes for is getting canceled, and it's just it's not up to Kuffa, unfortunately. Salty does get away with just a sliver of HP, and you do start to see the shortcomings of Doomfist at times in moments like this, as Kuffa immediately presents a much larger threat to the backline and DPS than Salty does to the group as a whole of Timeless.
Curious to see as well if Good Boys are actually going to stick with this. And as you're seeing Thunda and Biz actually make some swaps, it's over to Mei and Ash. And this composition, when you're looking at it, it makes not a whole lot
no,
of
it really
sense.
doesn't. Okay, I'm glad you didn't finish that sentence the other
a whole lot of sense, right?
I have never once seen Mei paired with Doomfist in my life, much less it work. But hey, so far, does Doomfist have like a passive accuracy buff to Mei or something? That might be what's going on here. Some hidden code that I don't quite know about. Either way, it's working, and Timeless seem to be having their trouble with it.
Yeah, one of the things here too with this composition, the way that it can work is with Salty swapping to Junker Queen would be the first thing. But outside of that, Biz being able to help contest just a little bit, having that survivability. Thunda not getting pushed on all that much outside of maybe Doomed, who has now gone over to the Tracer. But now with Salty on the Junker Queen, this is starting to make a lot more sense. The Ashe maybe stands out a little bit because you do lose some of that brawl that the Sojourn would be able to have by being more aggressive, diving forward, being able to find those instant picks. But pressure is going to be on Good Boy's side here, even with that Moira as well.
Should be. Kitsune rush out to try and claim that high ground immediately, and Timeless now are tasked with either finding a pick early here onto someone like Thunda, who is just thrown up like a skeet. We're just waiting to fight later.
Coming back down. He was never coming back down on that one.
I was surprised he stayed up for as long as he did, to be completely honest.
Clean up now for Timeless. Definitely coming into their own with a composition that I think all these players have certainly had some decent experience with, because it was just so meta for quite a while. Now the Tracer edition, I guess you could call it, with Doomed on that. But as they're holding out these choke points, things are going to get less dangerous for Good Boys as they grow some of these ultimates out. Things like Blizzard can really just take control of some space, but if Timeless disengage well, this could bode really well for them.
This is very playable for Timeless. Yes, Good Boys are coming up, but Timeless has held plenty of ultimates. Doom offers up a threat to the backline. Timeless answer with a sound barrier of their own as Good Boys pop theirs. The Rampage that you really got to look at, though, how much did Kuffa actually get out of that? They do manage to focus down Biz with the help of it, and just before the critical ultimates come up as well, Good Boys could have used Blizzard to Rampage there had that gone just a moment longer.
Looks like we're going to be losing Sobek and Dude here. Timeless kind of won the fight, but just overextended as we saw Salty pull multiple members back. And this is a great play, actually, from Salty. He goes down, but it affords Good Boys a chance, at least, to start working their way, trying to vie for that high ground just a little bit. Timeless gets back quick, though. Rampage up. Same thing with the Blizzard for Biz as well on the side of Good Boys, but they're going to have to get up to that high ground if they want any shot at being able to push this further than what they've got now.
This is definitely the best opportunity they have at taking this point B. Closer to Sounder, closer to Cole. I only have one ultimate to answer this. And how do you use a Kitsune Rush in this situation? If you use it, they'll immediately throw the Blizzard on top of it. It's a very, very tricky situation. With all the zoning capability that Good Boys have, they open up with the Blizzard though, and you know what? The answer to ultimates is always just headshots, I suppose. Good Boys come in and chuck in their next Q button though, and that one proves far more formidable for Timeless to actually deal with. Now the question is, can Kuffa live long enough to get some staggers in here, or same goes for Doom?
You got an immediate answer on that one.
Yeah,
as soon as you said
I started the sentence and it was Jover, yeah.
He plays yet again, though, on the Junker Queen. It seems Good Boys feel very good about just matching into this, going 1-to-1 on the mirror. Salty has been incredible so far. Very consistent. Landing those axes, landing those knives as well, just finding the consistency. That's what you're hoping for when you see the Junker Queen. We saw that as well in those previous metas. I mean, okay, well, that makes it a lot easier as well.
And we're traded. We're back down to 4. We're playing Overwatch 3 now. It's not
I mean, you like that trade, though, if you're Timeless, at least, I will say.
Yeah,
because Doomed down versus Pascal, that's a trade you take for sure. 90 seconds here on the clock. Timeless need everything that they can get, because sooner or later, we're going to be getting Pascal and Noctis coming forward, aggressively throwing out their ultimates, and I don't know if Timeless can actually stave them off. That's going to be difficult to disengage from.
Look, if anybody hits these shots, it's kind of wub, right? Sound barrier's available, but it's gonna have a hard time shutting down an overclock if Wub can just land one of these, and there it is. Biz taken down, the numbers beginning to dwindle for either side, but it's Timeless falling far more rapidly, as a singular Sport ultimate paired with the Bob was enough to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Cole plus Bob, not a very expensive fight for Good Boys. I think Timeless would have loved to have gotten a little bit more, but look, they didn't really use anything themselves, so not really a lot of hope there when Good Boys could just overpower you. Now going into this one, you're going to have a little bit of an opportunity, a little bit of an advantage with the economy, but Kuffa forcing out that shout early. They have to go now.
No! Oh, no! Sobek pops a sound barrier at the same time as the Rampage coming out, so they effectively go 2 for 1, with Noctis getting the significantly better sound barrier value. Fortunately, Wub is there to back them up. With that one pick, they should be able to leverage this into a pretty big win. Carnage in a small room like this can do some real damage. A Pulse Bomb as well is pretty much guaranteed to hit within these small quarters.
Oh, this is just so good for Timeless that they pulled that out at the last second as well. Salty, I would say 9 times out of 10 just gets a 5K when he's able to do that in close quarters, but now nobody can really... Oh, this actually gets onto it.
I mean, it's still a bit of a prayer. Good Boys, I'm not going to call it quite yet. We call Lily forced out of the Tracer here as they chase down the Mosquito. Good Boys, I don't think they got a second touch in here. Lucy will try to roll out. Salty swaps to the Doomfist, but it's just not enough. It was a bit of a scary last fight there, though. The initial engagement, the Rampage layered over top of the sound barrier was scary. You wanted Rampage, Good Boys sound barrier, and then you get the better beat, but it's anything but. Fortunately, Wub was there to hit a pretty clean shot on the Widowmaker.
I think Wub going over to the Widow, that's probably not planned, I will say. Knowing Wub, he just decided, you know what, we got to get some picks going. Nothing's really working. Let me go over to Widow and just start
stupid and it works, it's not stupid here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not blaming him. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that probably wasn't the plan, but it was something that worked, and they took advantage of it. They got the stop, so now this is a winnable scenario for them. They do know exactly where they need to go. Unfortunately for them, I still have some concerns when we see that Junker Queen matchup, when we see that mirror. Salty is just getting so much value in that Junk v Junk matchup a lot of times, unless we're seeing Timeless's DPS take over. That is the major difference maker I think Timeless have had. When Wub just starts landing headshots like crazy in a fight, when Doom's able to just pulse bomb someone before the fight really opens up, that's when Timeless are at their most successful. But without that, Salty just has been taking this match over. Same thing with Thunder, Biz at times. Pascal has been really solid at being able to generate those coalescences and providing that pressure. Noctis Soundbursts have been phenomenally efficient as well.
I mean, credit to Good Boys. No, they're just playing really well. It's tough to see Timeless struggle, but when all 5 members are kind of performing exactly how you want them to for Good Boys, you kind of just have to sit in awe. Really. I mean, they're bringing a composition to the table we don't see all that often in North American contenders and making it work beautifully. Yes, Timeless are mirroring it, but it certainly is a masterclass.
So Timeless once again with that Junker Queen. No real changes made here. You're going to see Doomed likely going back over to the Tracer after we see that DP come out, but they're going to start this off a little bit aggressively. Look for that early push in from the, I would say the side, but a lot of the team is actually going through main, just trying to get those corners, but you see Thunder just lying in wait. Really good position here to apply that damage.
With the pressure on the Kuffa, who's dropped down to half HP. Salty tries to capitalize on this, but look at this disengage from Timeless. That was clean.
Yeah, really solid. All they had to do was use one single ability from Sobek, and they're out, and Wub is caught!
Oh my god! Wub turned around to a mouthful of buckshot. Oh my goodness. That's as meaty as Reaper shots get.
I'm kind of surprised that they actually got caught by that too, because they knew that was going to be exactly what Thunder was looking for, to be able to wrap that backside yet again. That's where the Reaper loves to play from, because you can just Wraith form right out if things get, if things go sideways. And look where Thunder is yet again, just in that same position. So Timeless need to be aware of this. We see Doomed going over to the Genji as well. See how they want to adjust their approach here, because we obviously know, okay, the Genji pressure, that's going to do it.
Kuffa gets nothing on the swing. Kuffa's got no healing. None of the abilities landed. Good Boys make a calm push forward and find an easy win.
Good Boys adapted that really well as well. I mean, I like the Genji. I like the fact that we saw him just jumping forward, being aggressive, pulling Thunder out of the fight. But then you saw Thunder and Noctis actually completely throw Doomed onto the other side of the fight and then ignore him. So Doomed was out, and it was basically a 5v4 in Good Boys' favor. Timeless, they have to make another adjustment here.
Timeless are trying to step in before the wall came up for Good Boys, but unfortunately it's just a little bit too little. A lot of it too late. Good Boys come up with the goods and immediately deliver. I love as well just how measured it was. That's just a coal.
Man, on top of that, I mean, just the decisive engages from Good Boys. They know exactly what they want to do. They just throw the wall up, send it forward. They have shout ready. I mean, this is not been looking good, at least from the start here from Timeless, but this is where things can change. Ults ready all across the board.
I smell a really early engagement here. Oh, Noctis gets the better beat, too. Blizzard thrown in by Good Boys. Doesn't really find much, but does kind of split Timeless in two, which opens up Wub. As the rest of the team tries to retreat back away, they do it into Thunder's Death Blossom, but fortunately, Doom does have some experience on the Genji, and fortunately enough for them as well. It's going to get them a massive set of 3 off the back of Dragon Blade. Timeless will now start their step forward onto this point, but you cannot bleed out another player. You cannot bleed out more time. Honestly, they can't spend time chasing this player down. Doom finally gets him, but it's 3 back on the point already for Good Boys. Here, it's ugly, I think, is maybe not even a strong enough word.
Yeah, at this stage, Sobek can't even go out on the Mercy. Needs to switch over to the Lucio just to get back to the fight, because Good Boys, they're going to be ready to go here. And they have Coalescence, so how are you even going to keep Doomed alive once the coal comes out?
KR and Prey. Let Doom deal with his own problems, I guess. Yeah, Pascal just shoots that bird out of the sky. Picks up a second as well onto Sobek, the would-be Mercy partner of Doom there in a couple seconds. 37 seconds on the clock, though, and Timeless and smell another map falling by the wayside as Good Boys pick up a second.
Well, Wub does claim a kill.
Oh, Salty. They're having a rough enough night already.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
Salt on the wounds, man. Not cool. Good Boys, though, feel very ready to go ahead and make this 2-0. Thunder back in position. At least this time, Kuffa does spot him out, so they do have that information. Still, though, have to deal with Thunder. That wall isn't going to do the job.
I think knowing's only half the equation when dealing with a Reaper in that position. It is a lot easier said than done. Doom down, though, and Good Boys getting those early ultimates off. out of Timeless. Cuff up, popped a Rampage, trying to find some way into this fight. Did drop a lot of health bars low, but the follow-up just really isn't quite there for them. Salty down though, maybe. There's a chance. They push out of this small room. Basically just Cuffa and a Reaper, but there's really nothing there. Oh man, everyone's getting in. Move that. Don't turn the camera, please.
Another Good Boys win here, starting things off hot. 2-0 on the final day of round robin. Just, I mean, already shut the door.
It also
on
secures
Timeless's hopes and prayers, but
place qual for Good Boys, I believe.
What's that?
That secures a 7th seed qual for Good Boys. So even if they lose this, they still will avoid the 0-3 splash first match.
I believe 6th place is still in play for them, right? I mean, I'm not sure
almost
yet if
certainly,
we
yeah.
have an update there, but I would imagine 6th place is still in play based off of everything that's ongoing. Of course, the official stuff, the official updates we will get as they come in, but at this stage, we'll have to just wait and see. Nonetheless, though, still a lot in play here for both of these teams, or I guess one of these teams. Timeless still has pride on the line, but they are out of the playoffs.
Look, after the knee stretching that I just witnessed, I think Timeless wants to win. I know I would.
Yeah.
At that point, it's a little personal. Good Boys are having a bit too much fun with this game right now, but let's see if Timeless can pick the halftime oranges up off the ground and take some strong vitamin C out of them, because boy, do they need their meds right about now. Ain't looking too healthy here. It's 0-2 currently for Timeless, but what's the way through here? Do they keep opting into the Junker Queen? Is there somewhere they can take it to avoid this altogether?
Well, I mean, when you look at the map pool, this is an interesting one, right? Because when you look into the map 3s, there is a different array of maps than what you would have been used to seeing like in years past, where, you know, certain teams that want to play on level ground have to play on maps like Circuit Royale. So yes, there are some options here, but we'll have to see what they want to do. Certainly, I think that they have liked to go the route of the Junker Queen, but I've been surprised that they haven't gone Ramatra at this stage. We'll have to see what they want to go with, though, after this break. It won't be too long before we dive into map number 3. We'll see you there.
You like solving problems. Problems like how to stop that Tracer from deleting your backline. I know just what you're thinking. You'll bring a turret. But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets. No refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.
Welcome back, everybody, to Good Boys, who are up 2-0 on Timeless. And honestly, of all the standings, it looks like it might just be Good Boys' night to keep on moving on up, Yerks.
Oh, yeah, big time. I mean, they're doing well right now in this series. They're up 2-0. And just as a quick update, as we were talking before the break, well, we've got some news for you. Saints right now up 2-0 against Amplify. Right now, that's the competitor for that 6th place slot. If Amplify were to lose that series and Good Boys were to win this series, obviously 2-0 in the correct directions both ways for Good Boys right now, well, they would be able to move their way up into 6th place position. So we'll have to see if they could pull that out, and we'll have to see as well if Amplify do wind up losing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other updates in there as well. Wisp is 1-0 up against Afterlife. Like you said, Saints is 2-0 on Amplify, but we get back over to our match, which is 2-0 for Good Boys in strong fashion. I feel like outside of just seeding, this is a great way to go out of the qualifier for Good Boys. I know we're playing on a different patch for finals, but this is at least a great sending off note for a team that needs the momentum going into playoffs. But look, Yerks, if you and I know anything, the shakeups that can happen in NA before playoffs, the last one was just a complete fiesta. This one, I can't imagine is going to be much different.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen at this stage. But yeah, being able to go into round robin stage and you're up, positive record, positive map differential, that would be outstanding for a finish for Good Boys. And I think that they would be able to go into playoffs with some confidence. And I think with the confidence of knowing that, there was obviously a ton of parity last season, we can probably say the same here for this one as well. Maybe there's a little bit more of that, I guess, like top heaviness per se a little bit this time around with maybe what you could call the top 4, especially when all their players are there, which is not the case with Pip. But either way, Good Boys, I think, have the ability to punch up, and we're seeing that now. Even though Timeless is going to be ending in 9th, this is still a team that has obviously a ton of power and name power as well.
And that power's got to be brought to the table as we head over to Route 66. How are we feeling about Junker Queen here, Yerks? You think we just keep going on the train, or are things changing?
Tough to say. I mean, Junker Queen can be played. It's one of those characters that can be played pretty much anywhere. It may not be the best pick. In fact, I think on a lot of maps, it really isn't the best pick at all right now. But either way, I would still be, if I'm looking at this map, I'm picking Winston all day, every day. I mean, that's just what I'm doing. If my team can pull off the Winston composition, it's Winston all day, every day here. If I'm choosing, but obviously that is not the case. So is it going to be Junker Queen? Yeah, probably, just based off of what we've seen so far in the series. But other than that, I would probably go a different direction myself.
Yeah, I think Timeless has a decent opportunity to change here. They've been playing the Junker Queen, but at some point, losing in the mirror becomes less than fun, even if it was a composition that you were looking forward to playing. So just about 12 seconds, we'll get our answers. Does Timeless change? Good Boys, I think, like you said, pretty unlikely.
Yeah, at this stage, I mean, there is the note that Salty can play a couple of different things, and that might provide opportunity for Good Boys to kind of just check out some other options. But yeah, I mean, Junker Queen is the most likely approach for them. Either way, though, Timeless here, starting things off on the defense. We'll have to, starting things off in the attack. We're going to have to wait to see what they're going to lock in here. But yeah, I don't expect there's going to be a whole lot of surprises. The only thing that could limit my expectations there in terms of surprise, or I guess embolden the amount of surprise we could get, is the fact that Timeless is just like, let's just try whatever. I mean, at this point, who cares, right? I mean, that might be a factor here.
Oh, man. Is this the rollout? It definitely looks like it. All right, we get a Mercy to block at the far, so there's at least something there. The Kiriko can keep itself alive. Wub can stay pretty far away. There aren't any real dive threats from Good Boys. I think this still fundamentally works pretty well.
I mean, this is everybody go on your best heroes for the most part, and then Kuffa just play ball so it makes sense. That's pretty much what this composition kind of is at this stage. Doom, a phenomenal... I mean, it's already working.
It's working! Noctis next to be found with these rockets, so Kuffa will go down. The price has been paid. The blood pact has been signed. Salty the next in the sights of Doomed. Make it past Skull. Nobody's been found in entirety. Club can't find enough of a wide angle to actually finish off any of those half HP bars that Doomed is leaving strewn across the battlefield.
Doom on the Pharah, it just makes sense. I mean, despite the fact that this composition as a whole, you don't see it all that often, this type of composition has historically worked on Route 66, providing that overhead support. Doom on the Pharah, and then Wub just holding attention. Oh, there we go.
Slowly but surely, Good Boys are getting pulled apart like string cheese. Salty's on one end, the rest of the team on the other. Eventually a gap opens, Kuffa strikes in the backline, and Doom happy to finish that one off amidst all the chaos with the barrage.
So much damage, so much pressure already as well. Doomed and Kuffa have combined for, what is that, 4k damage dealt already in 90 seconds. I mean, that's going to be difficult for anybody to sustain through, and obviously Good Boys are trying to do that. We see the Coalescence now online, Salty as well with the ultimate ready to go as well, but they're going to be still living on a hope and a prayer here, walking through a choke point into this.
Into mines, great disengage by Timeless as well. They'll toss down the mines just as the Coalescence fades. Only able to clear a couple of them, but not anything too impactful before Kuffa gets away, and Timeless again to chip away at these health bars. It's death by 1,000 cuts for Good Boys, and there's certainly not much death happening on the side of Timeless, to be completely honest. They have so many escape routes. None of these players can actually be pinned down by the JQ composition. Yes, you've got speed. Yes, you've got shout, but like, who are you going to run at here?
And especially once you lose that Coalescence, the sustain goes way down.
Yeah.
And, I mean, how do you even outlast that damage that's coming out? I mean, Doom was just putting out even more. I mean, that was like, what, 900 damage in the span of 30, 40 seconds maximum? Already up now to 3650. It's just difficult for them to even have the ability to stand onto the point. And once they have to, out of necessity, then they just get ripped down.
An EMP.
Okay.
Wow, that's yeah, one of the EMPs ever. For sure. I can roast it because every other EMP that's come out of Biz has been absolutely money. So, one miss I can forgive, especially against this composition where it's just nigh on impossible to actually hit anybody meaningfully with anything.
At this point, I'm kind of wondering what else needs to be changed here at this stage, where they are kind of rocking that Sombra Tracer setup, but Salty now is playing a little bit more defensive, has the Diva pick. Good Boys have a lot of options to be, elusive here with a lot of their selections in their roster. This composition still, I mean, it's difficult for them to be able to get onto a target and actually kill them, and I think that's the problem here. Timeless, how are you going to kill anyone from this team?
I don't know. Good Boys will attempt to dive onto this high ground, but it's a bit just of a staging dive in the grand scheme of things. The barrage is eaten by the defense matrix as they stage up there, but forcing all that defense matrix out has allowed Timeless to regain control over this high ground, which gives Doomed now a spot to really rein in on following that EMP from Wub.
Still in that same situation here as well. Or, I mean, they're just not able to get these kills rolling, and I don't know how they do it with this composition. Pascal pulling out the Coalescence, but look, this is still going to be the cart moving forward slowly but surely in spite of all of that.
Forward, but Good Boys, if they've done one thing this series, it is stagger to, quite frankly, obnoxious amounts for Timeless. This cockroach of a team just refuses to die. Salty still up after a remake. Everyone's back! Everyone's back. They lost that fight. The point end was right there, and now everyone's back here. I don't get how Good Boys keep doing this.
Not only that, but also Timeless have swapped to their composition, and they've also lost all that economy. So Good Boys get a stop and completely shatter the momentum that Timeless had. And we're going to be seeing still this fight going on. I mean, it hasn't really stopped yet. It's been ongoing because Doomed went back for it and tried to see if he could sneak the point.
Alpha as well is going to pay the price for that one. 124 on the clock now. There's nice things and bad things about these fights going on forever and the court slowly moving. The bad thing is that court is very slowly moving. We're down to a minute here.
70 seconds, not too good. Timeless going back to
and
that
we're
composition.
back.
Doomed right back over to the Pharah. They tried to sneak the payload, didn't work. Right back to the thing that did. Pharah back in the mix. Wub.
Oh, it's because Salty
EMP.
swapped back off to... Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Salty goes back to JQ, and then immediately... And Salty's back to Diva! Oh my god. Alright, this is getting a little bit ridiculous, man. EMP out from Biz, follow-ups there onto Doom. 45 seconds left now for Timeless, and It would not be unsurprising to see Doom swapped away from the Pharah again.
I don't know if that is something that he's going to do. I mean, okay, he is going to go Tracer. If Sobek changes here too, locked in. There you go. Okay, so Lucio does come in as well. So Timeless now looking for something off of this dive. Wub has to, I mean, probably has to find Pascal more than anybody, and then they have to get that kill before the Fade even comes out. So this has to be rapid. Otherwise, Pascal, that Coalescence might be enough to just swing the fight.
Lots of sustain in the back pocket of Good Boys, a team that already is difficult to kill. The position on top that makes it even more difficult. Mines on top of EMP. They got Biz and Thunder. The Coalescence, yes, is there here, but I'll take 2 players over just that Moira any day of the week.
Yeah, they'll take that all day long. Pascal's going to be easy to find now that there just isn't any damage left on the table. No Thunder, no Biz. Salty's going to get dropped here as well. This should be the point for Timeless, and in fact, it is. They do secure it, but that was looking real grim for a second there. Somehow they got that 2K, and now you see Salty moving back over to the Junker Queen. I mean, if there's one thing that I know for certain about this matchup is Junker Queen is the inevitability. It is always returned to Junker Queen. It's no longer Monkey in this one.
Hey, it's working out for Salty thus far. With the Pharah being much less of a threat on this point, I'm sure it's likely to stay for some time. A whole horde of ultimates come out, though, and as they fall by the wayside, it's Timeless on the wrong side of the kill feed, and EMP tries to maintain pressure here for Good Boys. It certainly should, as the remaining health bars are whittled away at by Good Boys.
Timeless so close to their spawns, though. They're just looking for those trades to find a way in. Thunder might have closed the door, though. Without their Tracer, Timeless simply has no shot at being able to break this one down further. 20 seconds or so left on the clock here. This is where Timeless needs to make something happen. Something magical needs to happen, like we saw at the end of point B, if they're going to be able to continue this, because there's multiple fights they have to win if they're going to be able to end the map.
In Ultra OK, it really comes down to how quickly can Wub generate this EMP, because Good Boys have a moment to strike before then, and it's Sobek down. They take that opportunity happily in hand. Turn it into, looks like a pretty good start to a fight here. Timeless can buy time, though, and look to leverage that spawn advantage that we were talking about earlier, and bring that player back in on Brig in order to up themselves on the point.
So maybe one of 2 fights here done and dusted for Timeless, and they're setting up here. Wub, his position is going to be critical for this one. You can see him working his way around that left side, just trying to make sure that he gets into the right position. Once Good Boys go for an engage here, that hack needs to come out and catch 2 or 3 members at least, and ideally catch Salty here if they can get it, and they do!
EMP Salty down! It was the bash from Sobek shutting down the rampage. Likely why they brought the Brig in the first place. Eventually goes down, but the job is done. It is over for Sobek. It's about the rest of the team now. It's about Kuffa, Wub, and Doom finding these remaining kills, something they've really struggled to do in maps and points prior. Salty's the target that they decide to cascade upon, but with the help of a sound barrier, it is going to be even harder to kill this Good Boys backline.
Oh, Kuffa falls, doesn't even get the mines out here. Timeless are going to have to hang on without their tank.
It ain't happening here. It's the spawn advantage is too much, and with the sound barrier, just push it over the edge. But respectable push distance from Timeless, and they got there in what was certainly an unorthodox manner.
Yeah, I think with what we saw there, I mean, opening was fantastic. It felt like Timeless definitely captured something in this opening. You saw Doom coming out in the Pharah and just absolutely obliterated Good Boys. I mean, the comp just made a whole lot of sense. With what you expect Good Boys to come out with, the Pharah, rather, absolutely was the best possible pick, and everything else came together nicely. Kuffa was able to provide that level of disruption that's necessary for it to work out. But then Good Boys made their swap. This is when Salty came back in onto the D.Va, started turning the fight back around. We saw that chaotic kind of breakdown stuff happen with Good Boys. We saw them rallying, and things got a little bit different after that.
Yeah, it slowed down massively your time. No longer was their composition enough of an advantage to get through it. It felt a lot more 50-50. That being said, 50-50, not bad for Timeless, especially after you set a pretty solid distance going into this map. A map 4 is not out of the question yet.
So let's see what Timeless can do here. They've set their mark on their attack. Now they need to shut out Good Boys. They want to get it into a map number 4. And I will say Timeless, I do like them on those push maps, but with Good Boys, I mean, who knows? We're seeing this opening start. Salty looking for that hook, then going to be going back over to the Diva, as Timeless, of course, are on that same composition that they started with. And the Diva should do well here, but I mean, how do they get doomed that early?
I don't know. It's not a pick you can afford to give away. Sobek follows after. I think Timeless has just realized, yeah, we got all in here. I think we can maybe find one pick from Stagger, but we're not getting any time off this close hold, that's for sure.
Not too much, at least, and then back all the way up. They're going to lose Scuff late as well.
Okay, doomed over to the Echo. How many DPS heroes can we play in one map? New challenge has been set. No, I think Echo, if there is any character to try and set that bar with, certainly is the right choice, right? You dupe another DPS, you keep that number going higher and higher. It's about other records. Qualifications off the table here. We gotta find other ways to win this match. Oh my god, poor Cup. Oh my. that looked like the opposite of fun.
Yeah, Timeless going to be without their tank. I mean, at this stage, you don't really have anything to contest with as well. If you're Timeless, unless Doomed can somehow generate an entire ult in basically one fight and then get a dupe, but Cup is back, so it's not necessary anymore.
Back, but they still don't have a clear way into this fight. They need that poke to eventually turn into a kill, because Timeless has a hard time staying on this payload forever. Kuffa can be on and off. They can juggle it if they really want to throw all their efforts toward that, but keeping a member dedicated to the point is not something his composition necessarily specializing in. Bob, though, in an EMP might bring that to a halt altogether, despite all the stall from Timeless. The Ultimates look to conquer the fight pretty early on. Timeless think to fight this one back. They may have a way back into this with the rally. They're trying desperately to sustain. Sobek is somehow still alive, but now it's just Sobek who's still alive, so still doesn't really get too much done. Good Boys will come into the second point with a healthy amount of ultimates as well.
Not only that, but this composition actually is really strong with the Diva as well onto this next stage. However, Timeless, we talked about the inevitability of Junker Queen. Well, it's here. It has arrived. Kuffa has made the swap, and now Timeless are the ones looking to brawl things out. But remember, Good Boys still have some of those ultimates ready to go, so momentum is in their favor, but not the EMP.
Oh, it's a solid EMP out of Wub. More than enough to finish off fight time. Keep moving forward after just one ult.
I think Timeless are really happy with that result as well. Just getting the EMP out and then generating a whole bunch of value as well, especially for Kuffa, when you know that in this matchup, getting that Junker Queen rolling as early as possible is going to be huge, because again, the inevitability is that Salty will swap to match, and now Kuffa is well ahead, and that can really help the backline, who also made those recent swaps.
Might not matter. Kuffa is running away from Salty at Mach everything. Somehow still alive. Yeah, no, that was a quickly ended fight. Good Boys put all the pressure on Kuffa and made sure that there was no getting away.
Yeah, I think we saw the double speed that fight, and Good Boys just ran it down. And they're going to go ahead and start pushing this payload forward because of it as well. Pascal obviously just putting on a heater this one. Timeless, I mean, Kuffa was ahead, still is ahead a little bit, but that gap is going to close a little bit. What can Doom do, though, here? Could potentially provide an opening. Sneaking his way around. He's way back there.
EMP out. Ends on just enough, and Kuffa still not having the most fun time here on Route 66 as he's targeted yet again.
Doom wasn't even in the fight. I mean, there was a 5v4 in favor of Good Boys.
Yeah, I mean, good on them for taking
this series, but it is going to be difficult. Yes, Timeless are in a good position with their ultimates. They have pretty much everything that they could possibly need to be able to get a shutdown, especially once we see them hit this corner. That's where they're going to hit the go button.
EMP out, go button pressed. Good Boys try to respond, but the pulse bomb comes up empty. Timeless thus can proceed with caution with this defense. 250 on the clock now.
This is the concern. Yes, you had that great opportunity to get a stop. Now you need to continue doing this before Good Boys wins 2 fights. If Good Boys wins 2 fights, in quick succession, and it is all over. So you need to start stringing these together, and this is the same situation that we opened with on Control. How do you string these fights together? Timeless have struggled a little bit with that. Let's see if they can pull it out.
They've got, this is the best you could have asked for though, right? The EMP is the first, but at least it was only EMP. They still carry into this a sound barrier to counter that Coalescence. Rampage by Kuppa will almost certainly be answered from a sound barrier by Noctis though, and that's if it even came out. Thunder's picked them off expeditiously.
Oh, Salty down low. They trade it.
Okay.
Timeless does get the trade. This might force more out from Good Boys, or in fact, they might actually get more kills.
Good Boys don't have the ultimate to throw in. It's just a Pulse Bomb and a Sound Barrier. You don't want a Sound Barrier with just 3 people alive. Pulse Bomb, maybe you can go for it, but there's no obvious target right now. Timeless back away, come back with all 5. But look at the ultimates here. It's when the dust settles. It's not looking great for Timeless here. That EMP is a deadly button that very well could end this whole thing. EMP out, Pulse Bomb, Kuppa again in the sights of Good Boys. A sound barrier to counter the Rampage, just as predicted. Every piece of this machine is well oiled from the left side of your screen, and boy, does it look good.
I think at least for Timeless, the one thing that could save them here is the fact that Wub was getting way too much value once those fights were broken, and now has the EMP yet again scuffed, ready as well to be able to throw out that Coalescence. That healing's going to be difficult, but only 2 people hit by Salty.
And the EMP's just better. They focus down Biz, making sure that charge isn't going up either. Pascal down, 60 seconds on the clock. We're in 1, maybe 2 fight territory here for Good Boys, but given how long Good Boys make these fights, I'm starting to think it's a lot closer to 1.
Timeless have afforded themselves what could be just one more fight here. And that's good news for them. Unfortunately, you look at this setup, Timeless obviously have that respawn advantage, so Good Boys knows they can't go for trades. They have to be decisive about this. This is the last fight. There is nothing else after this. Pascal, Coalescence coming on. The pulse from either side. That could be the deciding factor on it.
It absolutely could. Doomed is hunting for Biz right now.
Whoa.
Dunda connects with his target. Timeless now looking for some sort of answer. The Pulse Bomb, though, goes wide. And Good Boys will be taking this one home 3-0.
Oh, what a finish there. I mean, we called it too. The Pulse Bomb decides the fight. Thunder got it, and got it early as well. Pascal, Coalescence, it was solid, but it wasn't what actually ended things. Thunder, the period, the exclamation point on the sentence for this series. A 3-0 conclusion, though, Dor. One that I didn't expect.
Yeah, honestly, a strong statement win for Good Boys. You know, you look at this roster, and you look at rosters like Timeless, and you look at all the rosters floating around in the top 8 in general, and I think Good Boys may just kind of like go on the sideline a little bit. They may just be caught in your periphery, but I think they're really, with a game like this, trying to draw more of your attention, say, you know what, this is a team that you absolutely need to be taking seriously, and the seeding that they're getting, which is now looking more and more like it's going to be another seed that snuck away all the way up to 6th for Good Boys, is a dangerous spot that they could really strike from.
Yeah, remember, this is as well a team that did not perform all that well in the spring series, right? Then we see them come back in for the qualifier, they get 3rd, and now they're leapfrogging over teams that, you know, have been fighting against them, have been keeping them down. Now Good Boys have been working their way back up, and yet again, they've done it against the team that made it to finals just last spring, or rather this spring.
Yeah, it's sad stuff for Timeless, but honestly, again, a really positive one to end on for Good Boys. There's still a lot left on the table today. I want to know, though, just what this means, because it's past this game. We start looking forward to playoffs, and if we've learned anything about this kind of climate being in North American Contenders, and there being a couple weeks of gap between qualifiers and playoffs, we know it's going to be a mess, and I can't wait to hear how Good Boys are going to deal with that. We get to talk with them in an interview just after this break.
Oh, hello, Fancy meeting you here. It's so nice to see ya. Are you ready to survive the wastelands? Then you'll need to bring your shotgun, your axe, and of course, your knife. For your sharp wit, if you get my drift. Hey, whoa. Hold on there. Don't forget to pick up your Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Yeah, gearing up is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. And after that, watching the Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drop progression, letting you claim your own wasteland-ready Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Oh, that's right. It's time to rampage. Now, get out there and slay with the Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Okay, take care now. See you in chat.
Welcome back, everybody. As promised, we got Salty in for an interview. Talk a little bit about what was a pretty swift 3-0. Salty, first off, congratulations on qualification, and very likely qualification with a spot better than you were walking into today with.
Yeah, thank you. I think we go up maybe one. I think the max we're gonna go up was maybe 6, so it feels really good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we actually have that confirmed, if I'm not mistaken, that you do go up there. We'll definitely make sure at the end of the day that we give the right information and everything, but I think at this stage, yeah, you guys got it. So congratulations on that. Let's talk about the journey here, because obviously this is a Good Boys team that struggled a little bit in the spring. You were with the team throughout all of that. Now here today, you guys get the qualification. Not only that, but you're also showing some dominance against some really solid teams. I mean, Timeless was in finals in spring, and you guys get a really, really strong performance against them. What's it been like, just having that journey of, rags to riches, I guess you could say?
It was definitely hard in the beginning, especially last season, since we were primarily only playing Doom. We kind of swapped to the Queen last season, but this season we kind of found we were kind of good at, which is like the Queen Moira stuff, which we predominantly played. And I wasn't actually supposed to play for a while. I was just kind of on the bench for a while, and they were having Dusk play, but towards the end, it kind of just had me play in and just see how it would work, and it was looking a lot better. So that's kind of just what happened.
I mean, we saw dominance today from every role, but especially you. I mean, Hirix and I couldn't shut up about just the immense amount of pressure you were exerting, and Kuffa constantly holding the S key in your presence. It was not a uncommon thing to see, at least within these 3 maps that we played. How did it feel to have that sort of dominance over a series, especially going out of qualifiers?
It definitely felt really good. I think going into the game, we were really confident, and especially other games too. We were sure we were going to win. There's not really a game we went in and we're like, okay, this is just going to be a loss, even against Saints. And I do have a lot of faith in my teams that if I go in, that I'll be able to get help, and we'll be able to kite together, go in together, and Pascal sometimes just fades into the back line. So,
I mean, is that kind of just sort of been the MO of your team at this stage? Because it feels like every composition that we see you guys succeed with, because we even did get a little bit of a look at the Salty Doomfest. I mean, I was I was definitely talking that one up a little bit. I've played against that on an alt and ranked. Not a big fan of playing against it, so I had to talk about it a little bit. But it seems like everything does kind of fall into place with all of these compositions. It's always, high tempo, high aggression. You guys are looking to go first as often as possible. Is that definitely accurate for you guys? You guys want to make that big play, kind of open things up yourselves?
Yeah, it's definitely right. We do like going fast. A lot of teams figured out how to play against the Doom since we played it so much in last season of Contenders, so we kind of had to find something to switch it up. Like, it's not very good in a lot of situations, but it's definitely still playable, and it still like maintains our structure and our way of like trying to go in together, just 5-man int on their backline.
Always a solid strategy, and I think it'll do you well considering that things are about to change a fair bit. How much in playoffs do you think you're going to be able to kind of leverage what you've learned through qualifiers and through the journey that your team's already made, especially considering the massive changes that are coming in with us changing patches for playoffs?
Yeah, I definitely feel it'll be weird to start with, but I think since we have, I think, a pretty good amount of time off to practice and do all these other things, I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to still maintain our stride and still keep going together and not like lose a lot of maps, get destroyed in any kind of way.
Do you expect that things are going to have to change for you guys based off of what you already know about the patch, or do you think that you're basically just going to try and see if you can pull off the exact same sort of strategies and, maintain some of the compositions that you're already proving successful with?
I mean, it might change. I'm still not sure because if we like, I'll be honest, like we don't play a lot of Winston because we're not really that great at it. I think a lot of the other teams like know. So we're definitely gonna try to just maintain and try to keep playing the Queen, see how it works. If it really doesn't work and we really have to switch things up, then we'll have to, because sometimes it doesn't work no matter how hard you force it. Like against the Pharah, Mercy, like all that different stuff they were playing.
Yeah.
That was really hard.
Oh yeah, wait. I have to know. I watched you and Doom just go back and forth swapping Pharah, Tracer, Queen, and Diva just for like a solid minute and a half. What were you guys just holding tab the entire time? Was it personal?
Oh yeah, I was holding tab the entire time. I was laughing the whole time. I was
That's
like, guys,
messed
I'm going
up,
back Queen, I'm going back Diva, I'm going Queen, I'm going Diva. They're like, okay.
I mean, when you guys go into a match like this one, were you having that expectation that Timeless was gonna be playing what we actually saw there, or were you pretty surprised? Because I know we were pretty surprised by what Timeless was pulling out in this one. Did you feel the same way?
Not so much. I wasn't really surprised about the Pharah because Doom does a pretty good Pharah. They play Pharah on a couple of maps. The Queen, Kufa obviously plays a lot of Queen. So we had some pretty good scouting on what they were going to play from before. So it wasn't really a big deal to me.
Oh, I mean, you guys dealt with it handily. I do want to ask before we let you go, how do you plan on dealing with stuff in the future? A lot of changes coming for you guys in the team. What's next coming up in playoffs? What do you expect from yourselves?
We're going to try our hardest. Obviously, we're going to try to win. We do talk a lot. We do talk about different comps, like try to cook up different kind of stuff. So not too worried if anything like major comes in or anything crazy gets changed up. So I'm not too worried about any kind of things like that. But we'll definitely try to do our best, try to get as far as possible.
Awesome, man. We're looking forward to it. Obviously, a fantastic journey for you guys through the round robin. Congratulations on the big win today. Congratulations as well for, like we said, moving up a slot as well from the start to the end of the day. Best of luck moving forward as well.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you all for having me.
Bye-bye. All right, Hirix, that leaves us with just one more matchup for the day. One with not too much on the line for these teams individually, as Timeless have unfortunately sealed their own fate. Rift, though, takes on Dragon Dance. Dragon Dance looking to make sure those losses don't get up to double digits, and Rift looking to solidify that 8th place spot and just finish things out strong.
Yeah, I know. Rift definitely just trying to make sure that they can get the finish that they need. Good Boys was able to do that. Now Rift trying to do exactly the same thing. Dragon Dance suffering a little bit this season. But hey, we saw, what was it, 04 Dash, I believe, yesterday. Just make that big run at the final moment. Dragon Dance has their one win. Let's see if they can make it two. When we come back from this break, it'll be match number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you then.
You like solving problems. Problems like how to stop that Tracer from deleting your backline. I know just what you're thinking. Go bring a turret. But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets. No refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.
It's the heart and soul of our sport, where these players strive to become who they're truly meant to be.
No more break, it's time for action. Welcome to Overwatch Contenders.
Welcome back, everybody. We got you here for our second game of the day, Rift up against Dragon Dance. You know, we talked about teams being surprisingly where they are. I think Dragon Dance is certainly amongst those when you look at this roster.
Yeah, a team with one win, but all the power that you could possibly ask for in a roster. I mean, it's tough to see a team like this suffering, but that is just the case with NA right now. That the strength is there and across the entire region. But let's take a little bit of a deeper look at their opposition here today. Rift is the team that is still vying for positions here. I think a lot of the stuff, a lot of the dust has already kind of settled with where we're at right now, with a lot of the information that's coming in. But nonetheless, Rift is a team that is going to be making playoffs. Let's see what they can pull off here. It's our last look, or rather our last look at them before we see them in the playoffs. X10, Chime, Astronex, Abyss, and Ymitra. This is a team that has obviously a ton of talent that have played together, or rather have played in Contenders in the past, now coming together, and you have already seen a lot of them have those all-star moments. I'm definitely looking at Chime when I talk about that.
Yeah, I feel like Rift in general, as an organization, has been just kind of on a high. They put together a really solid roster for this Contenders, calling all heroes going well. X10, yep. Chime, Astronex, Abyss, Ymitra. I feel like it's a roster that has a lot of room to develop on top of that, which brings a lot of promise for this upcoming postseason, where they've got a lot of opportunity to shake things up, to continue to improve, and to see how the next meta falls for them.
Yeah, and on the other side, of course, we have another team that should be doing well based off of who's on the team, but unfortunately things have not been going very well for these players. Noxious, X-Cal, Moving Fish, Shaq on to making up the starting roster here today for Dragon Dance, and this is a team that, especially when you look at this from a tank perspective, right? Moving Fish has been an incredible force to be reckoned with for ISU, for the Redbirds, but with this roster, it seems like things haven't worked out as well as it has for Redbirds in the past.
Yeah, I'll take the blame for that. Look, day one that this team was on broadcast, I said that they were on the way up, and I think the sheer strength of that horrible, god-awful pun might have just weighed them down the entire way. That's my bad.
Yeah, obviously, this team, I mean, you look at what they're capable of when you see who's on the roster, not even just the starters here as well, but when you look at the rest of the roster, I mean, you even have Petal sitting there lying in wait on the bench at the moment. I mean, there is a ton of proficiency with a whole bunch of different metas that is just there, and it just hasn't really come together for this team just yet. They do have their one win, oddly enough, against Good Boys, who we saw just get their 3-0 finish for the round robin stage, but other than that, Dragon Dance have certainly struggled against a lot of teams. They have a couple of map wins against a few teams, but outside of that, it has not been the easiest path forward for them. However, we're getting ready to dive into map number 1 here. As we saw before, map number 1 has already been set for round 11, which is what this is as well. Oasis is the pick for this round, so we're going to be diving into that one here shortly.
Yeah, I don't think either team is complaining. Both teams can play pretty competently in this meta. I think Moving Fish has had a slightly rougher time, not used to playing the Winston in a lot of these situations, but this team can play around basically whatever. They've got the flexibility to bring to the table. For me, the question is that even what we get? Do we get meta in this match? There's not any standings up for grabs. These teams could very well come out on virtually whatever they want.
Yeah, I think at this stage we're probably going to see a real match, though. I'm not gonna distance myself from reality just yet. I'm not gonna dive into that, whatever that may be once we get there. I think that both of these teams are going to be coming in with what exactly they would normally play, because I mean it is a real good opportunity to make sure that you can show off what you're capable of, especially for a team like Dragon Dance, who won't have another opportunity after this, because again, they are not going to be seen in the playoffs. Currently sitting at 12th place. I believe they're going to be locked into 12th place as well. But then as well for the other side, Rift, they want to make sure that they set a good tone going into playoffs to make sure that morale is high. They know where they're at. They are able to test things against a Dragon Dance team who, despite their score line, they are a good team made up of good players.
Yeah, we were talking about it with Timeless earlier. We're trying to figure out what quite went wrong for this team during the break, and it was, you look at all these tiny things, and it's not that the tiny things add up, it's that it just takes one or two tiny things and all of a sudden you're slipping down the rankings in North America because of just how tight everything is.
Exactly, yeah. Everything was so close. I mean, one or two things, being a minus and not having enough pluses to counteract it, yeah, you fall, I mean, precipitously down the rankings. And
wow, that was a solid $10 word, Yerks.
Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and take my SATs tomorrow as well. Make sure I get that fast.
All right, y'all, let us know who you think is gonna win. Rift 1, Dragon Dance 2. Alternately, if we're feeling fun, see if you guys can land another 50-50. That was 50-50 exactly, according to our producer. No any sort of decimal point on that. So that was really impressive. Jerks, I don't know if they could pull that off again. Well, I don't think they got it in them.
I don't want to bring up the curse or anything, but there is the curse.
There's too many of them now. They can't organize. There was like a small cabal against me beforehand when we just introduced the voting, and they sought to ruin my day. Nah, there's too many. They have no leader.
We'll see if they can get it done. At this point, I'll believe anything. Anything is possible, especially with the Path to Pro fans. See me getting behind it, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'm winning favor left, right, and center at this point. But we're getting ready. Dragon Dance looks like they may start on this Winston composition here. Rift going to be going with the Ramatra setup. We've seen that from a couple of teams before as well. This is the thing about NA, is that while a lot of teams in a lot of other regions have been slowly asserting the Winston, especially gearing up towards future metas and future proofing as well, NA is definitely like things like the Ramatra, even still. So we'll see how these two fare going head-to-head against one another. Dragon Dance, of course, Moving Fish isn't the standard Winston player when you have seen them on teams in the past, but
usually Astronex is, which it's a little backwards, but it's no problem. It's a quick fall for Dragon Dance, though, as Moving Fish gets shoved off the high ground with little grace.
Yeah, Absolutely annihilated to start things off. Not a strong start here for Dragon Dance, but certainly one for Rift. And holding out with this composition, definitely pretty solid. I mean, the retakes can sometimes get a little hairy, but defending with this composition is usually pretty solid, especially if you can ward off Moving Fish on these dives and protect against Noxious and XCal. That's a lot of damage that Dragon Dance have, even if it's up front as well.
This is by Moving Fish, though, doing a good job of making that high ground away, at least for the moment. Unfortunately, that's not going to stop XCal from getting shot in the head. An Ice Pick lobotomy is gifted to the Mei from the opposing side.
Just like that, Dragon Dance backed off here as well. Rift already up at 30% dominance so far, but Dragon Dance not out of it just yet, of course. Still a lot of opportunity. Maybe not. Okay. They found their way in.
It was ambitious to move forward in that manner, but Moving Fish down again. Not looking too hot for the not-so-Winston player on the Winston. Nano boost in, though, is a shot from Dragon Dance. Maybe they still want to go for this. Metro is daring XCal to hit these shots, and unfortunately that dare is gone unanswered for some time now.
Still found Chime, but this is not going as well for Dragon Dance as they might actually require. It's just trades back and forth, and okay, XCal might have done it. Okay, XCal, you may need to calm down, okay, at this stage. XCal holding on to the barrage. Things coming up here for Dragon Dance. Definitely doing well with that Pharah, but Rift, I mean, they have just had control for way too long at this stage. How do you get through everything they've built up? And you see X10 making that swap over to Cassie as well. That makes life a little bit more difficult for that Pharah.
I mean, there's a whole mess of ultimates on either side. It's really a matter of ordering them. Order looks good, though, for Dragon Dance. 2 off the back of a barrage. Should be a quick fight win in a fight that looked to go really long.
Yeah, would have anticipated that to be one of those, 30-second or so fights, but ended up being like 10. Cal immediately shut that one down. Yeah. I'm counting those last second staggers where everybody was taking a little bit of time to die, but the fight was over.
Yeah,
okay. Rift though setting up. They can still go in with that aggressive start. They have Annihilation, they have Blizzard, they have Sound Barrier, and I imagine that Sound Barrier early.
Match up to the high ground. A quick early win for Rift now that they've finally managed to land those ultimates without getting caught off by the barrage trap. Noxious was able to trade one back. High ground still contested by either side. It's been not decided yet, but a Resonance Shack gives a lot more sustain over to the likes of Dragon Dance. Unfortunately, with the hope of an Annihilation, there's just so much space being taken by Rift.
Just like that, it's really just XCal and Onda that are back. Or, I mean, still here, rather. XCal's still doing a good job, but Astronex, the rest of Rift, they get the job done. You look at the scoreline here, though, and things look so much better for Dragon Dance than they did when we first started, when Dragon Dance couldn't really seem to find a way. And boy, have they ever. Now we're seeing Echo for Echo here. Chime made the swap. XCal obliged with a match. How that mirror is going to go, especially now with Onda still on the Mercy as well. That could help XCal out big time.
I mean, XCal just wants to contest his high ground, right? Give some teeth to that dive onto Abyss. Unfortunately, it's not enough. Moving Fish just catches the wrong end of Ymetra. Rift now storm forward, trying to capitalize on their first pick, but maybe a bit over ambitious by Astronex. Like you mentioned, XCal still there, pocketed up by a Mercy, is a major damage threat, whether there's a Winston to help it or not.
Oh, entered there. XCal couldn't get away from that one. Winston finds that kill, and this is going on a little bit longer than I think Dragon Dance would like. This X10 up on the high ground. They're going to get assaulted here. XCal is back.
XCal's the difference maker this time. Chime, though, shows us how it's done. 3 on the Echo. Sans Mercy.
Oh, it's just Moving Fish. Immediately obliterated. Immediately obliterated. Their overtime ticks down, and Rift get the first round win. But Dragon Dance, I mean, I think there's some serious, there's something cooking for XCal right now. I see it.
XCal's doing a lot for this team, but it hasn't quite been enough, and I don't know if that Echo's really going to come out yet again. Fortunately, one of the things we aren't going to see come out again is that Moving Fish Winston that was having a real tough time against all the damage Rift were throwing at him. 6 deaths on just that first point. There was a lot of deaths from everybody in general, but still a particularly large number. Nice one at the bottom of our screen, though. It's not 50%, but I'll take it, Hurix.
Yeah, pretty nice line there for Rift. Definitely favored by the chat. But Rift, they got that first round win. Now we see a little bit of, I mean, almost that near X10 going to be going over to the Sojourn here. See what they can do as these teams clash. It's Rush v Rush now. High ground in favor of Rift. They're going to be playing from here before we see them drop. Once the control point unlocks, they can even go up this left side and actually take things closer, and that's what they're going to choose to do. That's a lot better. I love that.
That was so nice by Chime. Oh my, you could not ask for a better May placement. And now just down a member straight up. There is no damage available for Dragon Dance. The only way they win this fight is maybe a massive wall and an icicle headshot, but past that, there's really nothing there.
Oh, Yamitra almost got caught there. I was a little worried. Gotta admit, Dragon Dance, though, with an opportunity. They're going to have Noxious back here. They have high ground in control, and Yamitra is gone.
Yamitra's been playing with fire this whole map, man.
Yeah.
It's about time Yamitra paid the price. All right, Rift now down one, but it is just the Lucio. They don't have a desire to disengage. They still have a pretty solid shot at taking this one back. X10 is a very dangerous player to take even in these fights where there is no way out for him.
Oh, Noxious dealing damage, but Rift with Yamitra back now, it feels like just a matter of time before everything becomes insurmountable. Moving Fish at 13 HP gets caught.
Finally goes down. It's a strong win, though, for Rift, and one that re-solidifies themselves to at least a 60%-ish hold on this point.
Definitely a good start here for Rift. Team in the lead at the moment. Dragon Dance going to have to fight their way in, claw their way back up. Managed to do it pretty well in the last round. And now it's just about a building phase. They're definitely going to come up this left side. Rift has to disengage, and they do it well to start.
Still on the high ground has so much value that they can get from just being up here. The threat of something like an overclock from a position like this, Abyss, is happy to open things up, but the fight is far from over. Annihilation pop by Rift for just good measure. Honestly, they got themselves a 45, figured, hey, we don't want to drop this. We can afford to commit one ultimate. There are plenty more afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, being able to throw that out alone when you know that you have some options still available for what now is going to be the last fight, you maintain that overclock. If they catch anyone before Onda is able to get that sound barrier online, they almost caught Shaq there, that would have been it.
Oh, it's an aggressive play by Rift. The sound barrier comes up just in the nick of time here. But even that doesn't look like it's going to be quite enough for Dragon Dance to get through this one. A flip is all they'll get. A couple of players to clean up here for Rift, but it's looking like map one's being a sweep.
Yeah, it looks like it. Onda gets taken down. I saw during that fight, Shaq just stopped moving. I was a little bit concerned that we might have had a DC, but not a fight that I think Dragon Dance were going to get into either way. Rift lock it down. They get their 1-0 start to this series. This is, again, round 11, last round of the round robin. Time to make your mark, and Rift are certainly doing that so far.
You want to talk about making your mark? Let's talk about one or two players individually. xCal, yes, putting up incredible damage. We hit on xCal at the beginning, or at the end of that first round. But Chime and Astronex, 22 and 24 eliminations respectively, are everywhere. And I think more importantly than that is that Astronex has put Moving Fish in a box. 6 elims for the opposing tank player.
Yeah, that has certainly been a difficulty, I think, when your tank is just not able to really do a whole lot. I mean, you're not able to control space. You're not able to make those aggressive plays, set up for some of those either dives or rushes, obviously, because we've seen a couple of different looks from Dragon Dance in terms of what they play as the tip of their spear. But either way, I mean, a lot of these openings have been all about Rift. We saw that opening right there where the wall comes up and they catch Noxus. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you're looking for. Haven't seen as much of that from Dragon Dance. Of course, Rift have been pulling it off. The one thing, though, I will say, Dor, that has concerned me is Yamitra playing as aggressively. I mean, gets caught at one time.
If you don't get punished, it's the right play here. What do you mean?
It's something I'm thinking about. It's something I'm thinking about.
Well, the question now is it something that Dragon Dance is thinking about? That's even more important. But if you're thinking about it, Dragon Dance is almost certainly thinking about it. That's for sure.
I wanted to be offended, but there's really no reason to.
No,
I mean, those are top players.
Players.
I mean, it's really yeah, I mean, 1-0 start, though, for Rift. This is a team that is definitely looking, like we said, to make that mark here before we dive into the double elimination playoffs in a couple of weeks. And it's just about making sure that you stamp that ticket as best you possibly can, and that's what they're looking to do. However, now we move on into a map number 2. This is where Dragon Dance gets their opportunity to go ahead and choose a map that allows for something a little bit better, I think, for especially Moving Fish more than anything else, but the team as a whole as well.
Yeah, there's a lot on the table here for them to shift things up. Moving Fish, like you said, wants to shift more towards that traditional off-tank pool. The Ramatra's certainly there, but with all the focus that Rift has been putting on removing the health bar from his possession, I think a tank where he has a little bit more precedence over denying some of those projectiles, whether it be the Sigma, whether it be the Diva, is kind of the objective here, but on Hybrid, it's pretty tough pickings to get something like that.
Yeah, Hybrid, I mean, especially once you look at the map pool as well, I mean, this is the thing with this kind of this map pool. I mean, where a lot of what we've seen in the past from these compositions that have come out, a lot of it honestly has, to a degree at least, been dictated by the fact that we have this style of map pool where there is a lot of these maps where you could see things like Winston, or I guess to a degree things like Diva, and then later on you get into Sigma with things like Circuit Royale. But to go to this map number 2 here, Numbani is going to be the selection. I have to wonder what the direction is, because like we've seen, I mean,
Diva, right?
Actually, I mean, yes, Diva would probably be the go-to here for Dragon Dance. That's where I'm assuming Dragon Dance is headed. But I kind of think that Winston is just such a strong setup here, at least for first point. Yes, there are some other options for map 2 and map 3 where Rush becomes a little bit better if you want to go that route. And we know that Astronex can play both of those. So, I mean, I think this is just best of the bunch situation with Numbani. And I think a lot of times is that we kind of get that with this map pool right now. It's just best of the bunch. Not the best case scenario, but it's the best case scenario of what we've got on offer.
It's not a very polarizing map pool, is the thing, right? It doesn't. Right. There's very few ways to force a team to play a composition with this given map pool. Numbani, though, we'll shift a little bit in that direction. I brought up the Diva, but I'm starting to wonder if Numbani plays something like what we saw out of Blizzard World, right? When Blizzard World was getting picked constantly and teams were back and forth between whether they like playing the Diva more, whether they playing the Winston more. I ended up being a little bit more of a fan of the Diva when all the dust settled, but it seems like teams are really still undecided when it comes to Numbani because it's been out of the map pool for just so long.
Yeah, I think Dragon Dance, if they had something like Rialto, Blizzard World, those types of maps in the map
that'd be the
pool,
dream.
Yeah, they might actually have found their way into a playoff. I mean, at this stage, but that's the thing. The maps can really help dictate what we're expecting to see in the meta, and such is the case this time around. Unfortunately for them, it just didn't fall. The chips did not fall where they would have liked, and now we move into a map number 2 where, again, it's going to be Numbani. The other choices, Icon, Midtown. I mean, like I said, it's just best of the bunch.
So we roll out on here. My question is, what are we getting from the opposing side? You have to assume Astronex is going to be rolling out on a Winston, but considering that we had the kind of mix-up earlier on from what we expected, I think it remains to be seen until they lock in those heroes.
Up in the air to a degree here. I mean, again, we also have to consider not just first point, but second, third, where we could see teams alter what their strategy may be. I mean, we've even seen that
the Zarya tech be really
prominent. The
yeah.
Zarya was not something I was expecting to see this tournament, but something that we got nonetheless. And looks like at the moment Rift might be poised to go ahead with that Winston, but defensively it is indeed locked in. So we obviously know that Diva can be an option. It might be a better option towards point 2 and point 3, but starting off, Moving Fish is on the Winston. So
all order to take on Astronex, that's for sure. After map 1, I mean, that was outside of a mirror playing Winston into Astronex. Now you face Astronex on Astronex home turf.
6 elims, 9 deaths. That's
not as nice as it may seem.
Not very inspiring, I would say, for Dragon Dance. But either way, an opportunity here to turn things around. We'll see what they can accomplish. Rift going to be matching them. It is a complete mirror for this one opening up, and Rift going to be setting up that soft dive, getting into position, staging out, and then going in for that execution.
Astronauts now looking to find an opportunity to maneuver in, go for a soft dive here, but hold on, Rifter. Happy to let a little time burn off. I think this is a slightly more casual approach.
They're just giving away so much space. I mean, they just gave it away. They just could go hard dive off the first dive.
A slow backing away, yeah, by Dragon Dance. Or by Rift, rather. Take that space bit by bit. A direct dive. It's well timed and well coordinated, but Dragon Dance did a good job of getting away from it. And now that whole process has to repeat itself again, and that alone has ripped a whole minute off the clock. Be more as Moving Fish falls. The rest of the support line is now the target of Rift.
Trading Winston's here, though, doesn't really do a whole lot for Rift unless they can sneak out yet another pick, and that's gonna have to happen through Chime, and they get it.
Yep, it's Chime time is certainly. How does it even happen? At least somewhere in the area. Chime's just been doing crazy stuff on Echo for the past 30 minutes now. I don't know where you've been, but like.
I just mean in front of both of your supports, and it's just Chime going through and throwing out damage. Now Noxious falls, and it feels like a matter of time before Moving Fish is going to be doing the same.
Yeah, stick there. Spells the end of the hold for Dragon Dance.
So Rift move forward. 5 minutes on the clock here, and it looks like they're definitely geared up to go ahead and get some more. Onto Shaq backing up. Shaq is going to definitely be the target here. They actually go for the dupe.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Chime and asleep to boot! Just barely gets away. Astronex now is looking for more, as I think the entire time is feeding, the entirety of Rift is feeding off of Chime's energy and Nano Boost. Astronex a bit of that energy, but unfortunately it wears off. Oh my! How? Dude! What is wrong with you, Chime?
You got so excited you peeked and cut out a little bit there.
Bro, they're in 12th place. Chill out.
That's messed up. Rift.
Talk
Hold
to
back
Chime.
a little bit. Dragon Dance, though. Look at this. 4 ults. Okay, never mind.
What are you doing with this? What are you doing with this, guys? A one-man army. This is illegal in like 48 states.
If you're tuning in, this is actually not a highlight reel. This is played live. Chime is doing this in real time.
Oh man, I am
okay.
I am so deep in my chair. You have no idea. I am sunken into this thing. Tyler has a new contestant up to the plate. I'll tell you what. Eileen is unmatched. Okay, we're going further. I'll be cashing this game off the floor here if this keeps going.
I mean, Chime completely unanswered. Now doubling XCal's damage. 9 final blows already. At this point, this is just, like I said, this is the highlight reel.
More food for the grinder. Dragon Dance exit spawn. They do find a kill here. Abyss is down, and maybe Chime oversteps a little bit with this duplicate. There's no primal rage from it. Rift have to back away, and it's a moment of reprieve for Dragon Dance.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, it's just 2 deaths in total for Rift. Astronex with 1, and then Abyss just got caught in the last fight. Rift full disengaged. Dragon Dance didn't full clear that fight at all, though, despite the win. So not as much value gained as they otherwise could have. Now they're coming into this next one. They, of course, have the Primal Rage as well as the duplicate, but I don't know. With Chime, I feel like Chime can just do anything.
You can't doubt it after what we've just witnessed on Numbani. Reminder, this was Dragon Dance's map pick, being taken over by the DPS of Rift. Excel gets in, hits the anti-nade, but Abyss is found for it. Good follow-up by Noxious to make sure that the Ana goes down. Or can they get following, though? Rift have been really good about just disengaging the second they lose one player.
38 here. I mean, we want to be mindful of that. Finally, Chime goes down. First death of the map. Noxious is able to get revenge that time around. I think the one thing here is that Dragon Dance have found something that works. 2 fights in a row, they just gun for Abyss. Abyss falls, and the fight is winnable.
The map is still a bit away from that, but still as they are. In good standing. Dive up here from Astronex, takes away a bit of space from the position. I think Rift are starting to recognize that, okay, maybe we got to take this a bit slower. Right? Push the tank out of position, set ourselves up for the dive, and then we can send Chime in, who's now over on the Sombra. X10 lurking though above, has Pulse Bomb. Dangerous, does connect it onto the shield, takes down Shaq. Friendly fire by Onda, sending the explosive towards the opposing member of the backline. There's a foot room in here for Rift to maybe try and get in on this point, but it's going to be real tough, especially with X10 gone.
Oh, that's an ultimate hold, though. Dragon Dance. Primal Rage is out now. And since that revenge kill from Noxious onto Chime, Chime has made the swap over to Sombra. So eventually we will see that EMP coming online. And in fact, it has been quick. It is up already. It's been one fight. And Chime has that ready to go. Dragon Dance, your backline is on notice. Moving Fish, you are definitely on notice.
Chime farmed so much of that off of the Primal Rage that they forced earlier from Moving Fish. I think it was like 40% or something ridiculous. There's that EMP straight onto the backline. Chime is solo, by the way. Like, X10 came in later and helped clean that up, but like Chime just pops that EMP in front of both supports and deals with them handily. Rift now careening forwards towards the end of the map with a very healthy time bank. Finishing this map at all. Bit of an achievement, especially into Dragon Dance, though, we're going to come back with ultimates. It's easier said than done.
Honda might give them just that extra push. That might help them out. Yeah, Rift backed off for now. We'll see what they can do. XCal holding onto that duplicate, but Shaq is gone. So much healing. XCal can dupe, though, onto a healer and might actually opt to do just that.
No, it is all damage. Go for glory, go for broke. Pulse bomb in from Noxious. XCal will have their turn soon enough. Matter of hand delivering it to the backline. Pulse bomb out. Everybody managed to calmly back away. Rift, again, have disengaged an ultimate that was used following that initial pick. So it's a bit of a handshake from either side, but that handshake comes with some time loss for Rift, who are now looking for a way in, and it's going to be even further away from the truth as Moving Fish finds an opener onto Abyss.
Oh, and just like that, they get those picks. Mitra actually can fold, just go ahead with the rally, and they in fact invest it. This should be a win for Rift.
Yeah, it's rally and walk here for Rift. There's not too many options for Dragon Dance to get back in. They can stagger quite a long time with this composition, but ways in terms of ultimates, there are few here, especially with Chime coming up on an EMP so soon. X10 going down, though, is a 1-for-1 trade, which is good for Dragon Dance. As many of those they can get, they'll take. Fade onto the point, though, means less defensive resources available now for Dragon Dance. Shaq desperately trying to keep that Moira up. Moving Fish is back yet again, but now is the EMP. This is the major hurdle they had to get over. Unfortunately, it's just a bit too tall.
14 final blows for Chime. Chime, despite getting 2 kills at the end there, slowed down considerably since we saw on the Echo. But I will say, I don't have the actual stat for solo kills, but I would argue that Chime has more solo kills than a lot of Dragon Dance has eliminations, which is a crazy stat, an absolutely insane stat.
I mean, on C, it's just harder to get away with that, right? And I feel like it was also, you gotta give some credit here. When you're cooking that much on an Echo, it's very hard to force yourself to swap. But it was a very selfless switch over to the Sombra that ended up being the right decision.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially when you're able to go ahead and get over to that Sombra, generate an EMP in one fight, and then solo kill off of your own EMP. You just don't even need the resources from the rest of your team. I mean, you're sitting at 23-1 with 14 final blows, the most damage in the entire lobby by a considerable margin, might I add. I mean, obviously Chime is the player that Dragon Dance are most worried about at this stage, but I will say at the very least they drained a lot of time off that clock after the fact.
Yeah, it's silver linings for Dragon Dance, but unfortunately I think it's kind of been that way for the entirety of the season. Mostly silver linings, maps that were almost won, performances that looked promising. Hasn't quite been there. They come back out on the Winston composition for their attacking side, though, and they'll match up Chime on that Echo.
So already, this with a little bit of just some early ult charge. But nonetheless, XCal setting up. There's that staging dive for Dragon Dance, just getting Moving Fish up into position. Ready to go for that next go. And Astronex actually decided to go early. They catch Shaq and Onda with the nade as well.
I like it though, it's not fully committed, right? Using that bus, you keep a lot of damage away from you. You can drop behind the bus to keep cover should your bubble get exploded. It was not the most committed dive from Rift, but still a very scary one for Dragon Dance to have to deal with. And I mean, rightfully so, they didn't deal with it.
Especially since Dragon Dance committed some of those resources earlier on with their stage. They didn't have the resources to react to Rift, especially Astronex diving in. I think you really need to be able to catch Astronex in some of those plays. And look, it's the exact same situation here. Moving Fish going up to that high ground, and yet again, Astronex diving into the back line, and they don't catch with a sleep dart right off the rip.
Same dive in. It's, again, relatively safe. As they jump back, though, that is a cooldown, an important one. I think for the next couple seconds for Rift. Dragon Dance aren't able to capitalize on yet, though. As the jump comes back up, the counter dive is still there. It's a matter of who's in lethal now. Which backline can survive slightly longer. Seems like Rift are getting the better end of the deal here. Space-wise, they're winning massively. As Dragon has been put in a corner, that Tesla cannon gains so much value.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like this Winston is kind of unmatched at this point because Astronex is diving into that backline and just free farming on them. We don't see any connection from the Ana to be able to just walk up into that bubble and just go for the sleep dart, not catching him there, not going in with the purple to apply that pressure, so Astronex can't play forward. As the Brig is just matching pressure, getting the Inspire up to keep Shaq alive. I mean, it's just not really there. Astronex is getting way too much value.
Don't think that value train's stopping anytime soon. We'll spawn out the same exact room that has proven home to the deaths of Shaq and on the past 3 fights now. Is there safety this time? They've gotten into space. They survived the first on Astronex Assault.
Hello.
Just a moment. This off the map. Rift have to call it there.
Rift are going to have to go ahead and let this point go, but that was, I would say, not the cleanest win, but one that I think Dragon Dance are very happy with. They were able to outlast Astronex. They were able to outlast X10 as well. Once you saw that combination, the Winston Tracer diving in, Shaq and Onda did not fold under the pressure, and that's what you're looking for from this backline, and eventually that can lead to a successful fight win and a point unlock as well. Now we're seeing them push this thing forward. They have high ground as well. This certainly is a much better position for them. Still though, Moving Fish, that survivability there, that's something that they have to be mindful of, especially as we see Noxious not even in this fight, of course, pushing the cart at the moment.
Rift have been playing the counter dive game this whole time, but after they took that one fight loss, it looks like they want to play a lot more towards putting that pressure onto Moving Fish, focusing down that tank, leveraging Chime, and the ridiculous amount of damage that this Echo can put out to their advantage, because now as Moving Fish drops down, that's a half HP Winston. That is a ripe target for Chime to continue to beam away at, but hasn't died yet, and for that, Dragon Dance have actually got a lot of room.
Okay. And yet again, I mean, I think Shaq has 2 different sleep connects in this fight. Unfortunately for Shaq, though, falls immediately after.
Yeah, Rift just needed one moment, one gap in the armor to strike, and they absolutely found it. Again, it's a balancing game between who we deal with Moving Fish, do we dive that backline, but one that Rift is towed quite nicely.
Another showing of Chime's proficiency on this character. I mean, at this point, you almost might as well leave it on Chime at this stage, but the rest of Rift is certainly coming together as well. Dragon Dance close to that nano boost, certainly going to be throwing that up onto Moving Fish, trying to get some of that space cleared up top, as well as just getting into the backline. Abyss, though, has just been so good at denying those aggressions from Moving Fish. How far back? How do you get to them?
You don't. And what's crazy is that normally the restricting factor is that in order to be this far back, you have to allow your Winston to not have resources, but Astronex is still full HP.
Yeah, it didn't have the range yet.
Astronex hasn't been an LOS of a healer in the past, like, minute, and Astronex is still at full HP.
Yeah, that is something that needs to be adapted to rather quickly here for Dragon Dance if they want to find some success getting through point B. Astronex, of course, has that nano boost coming his way at some point very soon, but even beyond that, you have the Primal Rage at the ready as well, and we've already seen what Astronex can do without any resources. Now they're going to have a ton.
Well, might be Chime time again. Noxious, though, good pick. Astronex still in the backline, though, has to be dealt with. And it's not just Astronex and Chime forward. They take the sports with them, moving Abyss and Ymetra up to that corner position where they can be maybe not as safe, but certainly contribute to the fight more than being zoned away for 30 seconds.
Less than a minute now here. Rift keep winning some of these fights with just not even throwing any ultimates out. I mean, sometimes you'll say, oh, efficient fight. We only had to use 1. We only had to use 2. The Rift are winning some of these without using anything, and now they probably win this one off of just a pulse bomb.
It's so cheap. It's so cheap. Like, Black Friday prices have come early for them, and largely at the hand of Chime and X10 just offering up pick after pick after pick.
25 seconds here. Things are ticking down real quick now. Dragon Dance are now in a position where they have to get someone into a spot that can actually contest this point, and then they still have to not lose the fight.
This fight's far from over. Astronex wants that back line. Decides better instead. Xcal over on the other side of the map is in their sights. In the meantime, Moving Fish not having nearly as much fun over at the payload as Astronex is, who's still full HP in the middle of 3 people. And picking one up off the edge of the map. You can't see it, but you can just visually imagine what that Ana's feeling right now. Rift takes up another map win.
Yeah, that is the last thing. That is the last position I would want to be in, playing that Ana. I mean, so difficult, especially when Astronex is diving in, sometimes honestly alone as well, and you're just not seeing that standard reaction that you would honestly kind of need to have. It's asking a lot, right? It genuinely is asking a lot to just be like, Ana, Brig, just be able to counter out that Winston. Especially if you see that Tracer coming in as well, which a lot of times X10 is there. Sometimes Chime's there. But sometimes that just needs to happen, and unfortunately for Dragon Dance, it's just simply not. I mean, Astronex, we saw it already. Able to dive into the backline, able to be a nuisance, able to go forward and contest the payload with 0 resources. I mean, Abyss and Yamitra with no sight line.
And it's crazy, just the polarity of each side of this match, because on one hand, you have probably the most ridiculous pop-off I've seen on Numbani B ever, maybe any B point ever, by Chime. I mean, how many elims was that in the span of, like, it wasn't even like a long time either for Chime to get those picks, because the cart never stopped. That was minimal time to get seemingly infinite picks from Chime. And then on the defensive side, Chime still got plenty done, but Astronex took the reins, and that's terrifying when you have a team that can do that from so many positions.
Yeah, and when you look at KD ratio for that one in terms of, you know, what did that look like from a fight win rate perspective? That was 51 kills to 18 kills, team versus team. That is not something you see often or really at all. I mean, that is a level of fight win rate that is insanely high. Statistically, that would be a blip. That would be an outlier way off to the side, a 51 to 18. And that's what we just got. And again, a lot of that came off of the attacking phase as well, where Chime was able to get something like 14 final blows, ended with 20. But then you also had Astronex and X10 come through on the defense, 13 apiece for each of them. I mean, a considerable performance from all of Rift, but now it's about closing it out, right?
Yeah, and I have no doubts that there's good odds they'll be able to in map number 3 just after this break.
Oh, hello, Fancy Mini You here. It's so nice to see ya. Are you ready to survive the wastelands? Then you'll need to bring your shotgun, your axe, and of course, your knife for your sharp wit, if you get my drift. Hey, whoa. Hold on there. Don't forget to pick up your Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Yeah, gearing up is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. And after that, watching the Overwatch Contender Summer Series will contribute to your drop progression, letting you claim your own wasteland-ready Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Oh, that's right. It's time to rampage. Now, get out there and slay with the Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Okay, take care now. See you in chat.
welcome back, y'all. We got Rift currently up 2-0 against Dragon Dance, taking on an emphatic Numbani for map number 2, and we can only wonder what map number 3 has in store. Hybrid map pool might not have been great here for Dragon Dance, but Escort is certainly going to be their home, especially with one of kind of the few Sigma maps in the pool right now, which is crazy because, you know, we look at last season and there were plenty of them floating around, at least opportunities to force it, especially an Escort, but Circle Royale is kind of the last bastion in that regard.
Yeah, you say few, I say only at this point. Circle Royale might just be the only one, at least in this pool, but I mean, obviously Dragon Dance, I would imagine this is probably their best, at least from a tank perspective. Moving Fish, an incredible Sigma player, genuinely one of the better ones that we have in the region. So Dragon Dance, I think, should be able to play around that, be able to give some opportunity to their DPS to go ahead and make some plays with space as well. Rift, though, the question here for them is, okay, what are they going to utilize? Are they going to just match? Are they going to go for that Sigma approach themselves? Are they going to instead go for some version of a rush or a dive? I mean, there's a couple of options here that Rift could take, but the obvious thing here with Circuit is that you do want to go with Sigma. That is, I would say, the most consistently successful thing that we have seen on Circuit since its inception.
Yeah, I mean, Rift have Crimson on the bench, but Crimson doesn't seem too likely to come out in this instance. We'll see, though. Moving Fish is certainly the player to watch, especially after what Moving Fish has gone through for the past 2 maps. Moving Fish is having a bit of a rough one, but if there's anywhere we can see them turn it around, it's absolutely here. And it's been time and time again that's been the story. Moving Fish for Redbirds is often just that specialist to come in and play the maps where it is needed, and every single time delivers. It is exactly what you need, the consistency to be able to put someone in, right? When you're talking about like an NFL kicker, right, is on, you notice more so when the mistake is made than when it's not, because you're so used to it being consistent. That's what it's like for Moving Fish, because usually he is such a consistent member for this team. They do everything they can in order to just make sure that that map is solidified, and Circle Royale is that map. So see if it comes to fruition.
Yeah, I think we are going to be getting one swap here. Dragon Dance likely to put in Petal, and I'm seeing this actually live right now. Petal is coming in. It's going to be Noxious that gets pulled out. So it is Xcal still in. Everything else is remaining the same, though, for Dragon Dance. That is the only adjustment being made. Petal, definitely, I think, an incredible player. We even talked about him when we opened up this series, when we were discussing Dragon Dance and all of the wealth of talent that they have even sitting on bench right now to come off of it. Petal, an incredible player. Also, recently got their first tournament win in another tournament as well.
It took long enough, but Petal did eventually get it.
We were hoping that was going to be a big power-up for him, but unfortunately, maybe that not is the case. I don't know. Who knows?
It's unfortunately just become an opportunity for people to, like, rib him, which is unlucky, to say the least. I'm surprised, actually, at the DPS offering, though, from this team, because, you know, normally you think about this map, you think about double sniper, you think about running things like double hit scan, but to see Noxious subbed out for Petal screams that Xcal should be doing something pretty interesting here, at least.
Yeah, I mean, Noxious, I would assume, would be playing something like a Hanzo if we stayed the exact same way as before, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see at this stage, which has oddly been the case, the storyline for the entire series. Just wait and see. I guess we'll get that, but I think with Astronex in, I think that's my bigger question mark. That's just kind of sitting over my head right now. What are we going to get from Astronex specifically? Because again, I mean, it's typically Sigma on this map, but you can play other things.
Yeah, I always think back to like Team Pep's forcing Monkey here religiously, despite
SRP
Sigma
check,
being
also a big fan of Circuit Royale.
Well, I mean, the Ryan teams are everybody. This is like the only map in the pool for them to find. The Sigma players on the Ryan, not usually friends, but now
yeah, go ahead and play
we're in this
Ryan
struggle together here.
enjoy Ryan on Gibraltar and see how that goes.
Okay, I can cope about Ryan on Gibraltar later. It's not as bad as it sounds. It might actually be the second best Ryan map in this pool, which is saying something. Moving Fish, though, bringing a Diva to the table on the attacking side. Astronex is bringing out the Sigma, though. There's your answer.
Top of that, X10, we do have that double sniper, so Rift certainly playing to the meta of the map, for sure. Seems like we're going to be getting the exact same thing here from Dragon Dance as well. So, yep, there's all of the answers we were looking for. Just straight up meta for both of these teams. As we move on to Circuit Royale, this is map number 3. Rift up 2-0, dominant 2-0 as well. Dragon Dance looking to get their way back into this one.
The biggest X factor I see here is whether or not Chime actually maintains that same pace that we caught earlier on the Echo as they shift over to the Hanzo. It's been explosive to say the least, but should slow down as we get into double sniper, especially with Moving Fish in the driver's seat on Sigma. Astronex is going to have a tough time playing this matchup, which is saying, I mean, it sounds crazy considering that this match has gone 2-0 for Rift very handily, but the map really does dictate a lot in this meta, and if more maps were like this one, Dragon Dance, I promise you they would not be in the position they were.
Yeah, like we said earlier, if we saw Rialto, Blizzard World, Circuit Royale, that was the setup for this one. Yeah, Dragon Dance might be in the playoffs. Not the case so far, though. Here we go. Round in that corner. There goes Chime.
But a fancy feat by Moving Fish to dodge that rock as well, jumping off the top of the cart. Getting the better of Astronex in a moment like this. Immortality Field has been forced out. Just completely putting Rift on the back foot now. They have no resource to hold this. Astronex is even going to be a pretty poor stagger here to give away. That's a one fight. Hey.
Yeah, I mean,
Fish is just on it.
Yeah, I think at this stage, Dragon Dance, they gotta clearly have the upper hand here. With this, I mean, with this mirror specifically, especially if we see those DPS members able to connect. I mean, Chime falling early in that fight. Rift just wasn't going to be able to match anymore once we saw Chime go down. Now Rift have to go ahead and take some space themselves, coming around to point B, trying to take back that high ground.
They can't afford to give away this Flux right now, but I would not have been surprised to see... I know I'm going to say it, but a Rhine swap Rift in a moment like that. Man, it's not out of the cards. Astronex can do it. They're looking for a slight angle here through the amplification matrix. It's not to be had, though. Instead, the follow-up on the Riddick Flux is more than enough to get in there. Dragon Dance not quite done trying to assault this high ground, but they certainly are after Onda goes.
I think a lot of that honestly just came down to the fact that Astronex was able to, because Dragon Dance was able to play so aggressively in that first fight, we saw their backline moving up to round that corner. In the process, Astronex got a lot of damage off and of course also generated that ult very quickly. So Rift already knew what the game plan was as they stepped up. Now we're going to see Dragon Dance with an opportunity of their own. We see Petal with the later Infrasight. All information is given here, and Moving Fish knows exactly where they need to go.
Dragon Dance can step forward so confidently in moments like this. Astronex unable to do the same. Fortunately, without that shield, things get real awkward here. Unfortunately, awkward is home territory right now for Rift.
Yeah, Rift, I mean, even if they didn't get those follow-up picks, which they very cleanly got, actually, they also have the ability to have that advantage defensive spawn coming up off of the high ground. Moving Fish having to go through a choke and around, and it takes forever to get back from that respawn. So either way, that should have been favored to Rift, and they got the fight win as well. Now here, though, it's all about Abyss. I'm looking at him to be able to go ahead and actually mitigate a ton of this pressure that's going to come out from Dragon Dance, but it just got a whole lot easier.
Oh, Chime's done it again. Just delivers a headshot on a silver platter to the rest of Rift. Now Dragon Dance on the back foot significantly in terms of damage. This is the way forward for them. They try and hold this position. Moving Fish still unpersuaded to back away as X10 falls. Astronex in a bit of trouble as well. The fight's flipped on its head thus far. A late Transcendence by Abyss tries to hold on to things for Rift, and it may have that stabilized quite nicely.
Perfect timing from Abyss. Did mitigate exactly as we were talking about. However, on the other side, Dragon Dance, they've got Onda holding on to that as well. That's probably going to be a match 1-to-1 with Astronex's ult. Onda has to hold on to this. XCal with a big pick, though.
Massive. A lot of the damage now gone. Less to contest Moving Fish's shield especially. That's the big thing that you're looking at, right? Astronex has so much less to deal with now. So much less to work with, rather. In terms of that Sigma 1v1, in terms of taking the space, has to use a Grid Flux to try and get it, but like you mentioned, Onda has that immediate response.
Fortunately for Onda, Moving Fish died before they could even get it out, and now Dragon Dance, they're still jockeying for position here, but eventually they're going to have to go ahead and hit that S key a little bit. Rift are going to back them out for sure, it would seem, and yeah, that is...
Oh, man.
That is
for
definitely
a one-fight point, this is crippled time bank.
Yeah, this is a team that has hit a brick wall, is what it is. Rift not letting anything go. Dragon Dance does, of course, have that AFA tricks. I mean, when you get into a position to go ahead and pull this, that's going to be asking a lot, I think,
what a
for
rock.
Shaq.
Nice little stab forward by Astronex, and it is rewarded. Shaq goes down. Impressive Space taking some creative play on the Sigma as well to get that done. Moving Fish has looked a little bit more comfortable in this match, but you see those moments where Astronex is getting the better of him here and there. Swing out by a Zenyatta. This is dangerous.
Yeah, Petal not going to be surprised anyone anymore now that first shot missed, but Rift still has those defensive respawns, so anybody that does get traded is back quick.
Astronex step forward, Moving Fish. They're going to try and make as much space as they can to capitalize on the spaces made by the DPS. With Astronex so low, you have to feel like it's coming here soon. A Transcendence, though, keeps them up. A commitment to the fight by Rift. Moving Fish needs to put a stop to this here and now. Gonna use a kinetic grasp at the doorway, but no damage falls through. Excal and Petal seem scared to swing too wide in a moment like this. They're trying to just focus down Astronex, and that does eventually pay off. But eventually is the key word here, as that time bank is dwindling.
Yeah, 145 now after the cap. So yeah, pretty much down to gas fumes and a prayer there at the end for Dragon Dance. But they do manage to get what they were looking for. Point B is capped, and now they move into the final stage of the map here, Moving Fish. Holding on to that grab Flux. Abyss did have to commit early in that last fight, so there is no Transcendence to answer, and I think Dragon Dance are going to be real happy about that looking into this next fight. They might have the ability to establish some serious momentum off this one.
A very clear way in, and also a very clear way up, funnily enough, should they want to get for that high ground. Like you mentioned, Agritic Flux is not just a damage tool, but a mobility tool. Should they want to use it in that manner? You can see Excal and Petal are kind of wrapping over here. If they can force Chime back, they start to take that high ground away, and now you don't even need anything to get up there for the tank player. Magnus instead can just leave Moving Fish on the cart. They can contest. Excal moving in behind them. High ground claimed by Petal as they slow but sure march towards the spawn of Rift.
Oh, gotta be careful.
One angle. Francis forced out here by Onda. Dragon Dance trying to play behind and find some value, and so far up! Oh, no! Oh, that's a rough pick. They trade it back, though. Onda now taking the reins, playing in place of the Hanzo. You know what? Maybe just doing enough here to keep this thing pushing. One or two more is all they really need. But Onda seems a little unwilling to play too aggressively in this moment, and I think that may come to bite them in the rear here. Yes, you get to hold on to that high ground position, but I think they gave up an advantage that they really would have liked to leverage.
Yeah, Moving Fish really without help at this point. Shaq going to be trying to do their absolute best, but that's just asking so much of just one player, especially with that massive differential Transcendence coming out from Rift.
Yeah, Abyss pops it, and the fight is immediately over. Dragon Dance had a very, very slight opportunity to get in there before the end, but silver linings here again, as it seemingly always has with Dragon Dance. It's a good push.
Yeah, I mean, especially given the fact that they almost got stopped on point B. I mean, again, they got hit by what looked like and felt like a brick wall in the form of Rift's defense there. But eventually, Dragon Dance made their way forward, and I think they feel a little bit more confident because of it. But really, I think just that first opening fight, just getting point A that quickly, probably instilled a ton of confidence in a team that, going into this map, might not have had very much.
You know, they'd love to see him out number 4. And I think it really doesn't. It doesn't just come at the hands of the tank here. A lot of it does come down to the rest of the team. The picks have been what we've been watching this entire time. Moving Fish and Astronex has been interesting, but Chime, X10, Petal, and Excal have been going back and forth every single fight. You're never really sure who's going to offer up the first pick, and I think the more we watch them, the more we start to understand the dynamic of this match, and as the side swap and we start to see the cover change, I'm really curious to watch how Rift adapt. They're actually looking to bring out a Sojourn here, which, if it stays, would be, I think, an interesting look compared to that Petal Widowmaker.
Yeah, definitely. It's not something you as often see as something like a Widowmaker, especially with these longer sight lines. I mean, really not going to be doing a whole lot of damage outside of that railgun with these longer ranges, but It might be assuming that there could be a close hold, which is what you're seeing some of these picks typically used for. But, I mean, no swaps yet. There they go. Okay.
Chime back over to the Hanzo. I think X10 might actually stay in a situation like this. Just play for that railgun. Sojourn doesn't do the most shield damage, but it's certainly a bit more than Widowmaker while still offering up a long-range threat. Already they're pushing Moving Fish back, ripping resources away from the Sigma pretty quickly. Petal and XCal are running out of angles to work with here to find a first pick, especially with these shots raining in from Chime. Each one of those arrows more dangerous than the last.
All about who can get that opening pick. Chime got caught last time, now looking to catch XCal. Okay.
Accent tried to make that aggressive move forward, which I think is right for playing the Sojourn, right? You need to be taking that space, using the ability appropriately. Unfortunately, Onda was more than ready.
And I think this is also just kind of stacking the deck in your favor. This pick with the Sojourn is just, once you can get control of that right side and you can own that flank angle, it's going to be far more effective than just hoping for a 50-50 Widow duel win over someone like Petal. I mean, that's asking a lot of anyone. So it makes sense why they're doing this. It's just about execution at this stage. Can they get X10 all the way off to the right there?
I mean, I talked about it meaning a lot more damage going towards Moving Fish, but I think if there's any player that's happy to take more pressure in a moment like this, it's Moving Fish on a Sigma, right? It's something that they've done for ages now. Just be that rock on this map for long enough for the DPS to find the picks, and there you go. Petal delivers. Moving Fish has bought enough time, slowly bled out the space, and given the team a real shot at this one.
Real good shot for this defense. Something also mentioned here, XCal going over to the Genji. Makes it a little bit harder for X10 to own those flanks, especially if Genji gets resources from Onda on the Zenyatta as well. Harmony could tip the scales there. More burst damage for that Genji. Of course, the deflect helps as well, but Rift's still holding on to this. Lost half their time bank to get to this stage, but now it's just about finding picks again. I mean, we're back at it. The exact same spot.
I'm down to half HP. Less than half the clock now for Rift. This is the best chance they've got. 5 ultimates coming online. Dragon Dance try to take it early. Force out a Transcendence from the fight prior to anything really going down. And Rift has spent big early. If these do not connect, they are in dire straits. Fortunately, one's landed onto XCal, but is one player actually enough to leverage into a full fight? Absolutely. Great cleanup following the initial play.
Yeah, Rift did a fantastic job of making sure that that one didn't go to the wayside. They connect. They get that first objective. Now they move into the... we could say the hard part. I mean, this is genuinely the hard part of the map. Being able to hold this point up forward. You're down Chime now. That makes it virtually impossible.
Quick move out for Dragon Dance. They want to capitalize on that pick, and Astronex can only afford to give up so much space before they run out of room. Piss steps forward now. Shield again shoved into the face of Astronex. Astronex trying to clamor some sense of control back with a rock here, but it's just a rock. There's no damage behind it because there was no Hanzo behind it to help dish out the follow-up that you're looking for. So with a bit of a screamer over top. And there. While we wait, Rift will be allowed to approach in moments like this. But you're only opening yourself up more and more to angles from Petal, angles from XCal, especially with that blade coming up. It's only a matter of time for Dragon Dance strike.
Transcendence used there as well. They didn't get very much value, necessary value at least. Rift just gonna bide their time. I think this is smart. Just put some pressure onto Moving Fish, force Dragon Dance forward, and they can go for a shift here pretty soon. As long as they can stabilize X10, and that's what they do.
I feel like this Dragon is just leveraging Moving Fish so well, though. Moving Fish's seeming inability to die and just stay alive on the cart for years at a time. Right? Dragon Dance waited and waited and waited, forced Rift to make the first move, and then right when they did, it's immediately a Gravitic Flux. Dragon Dance just completely shut it down, and that's so much more costly than if Dragon Dance just took the fight proactively on there first when it would just be 30 seconds on the clock. Instead, now you're looking at what, a minute and 30 for just that one fight?
I still don't think that was necessarily a bad position for Rift to be in, though. I mean, Abyss was so close to getting the Transcendence. The only thing that they really had to answer was the Grab Flux as well as XCal's Blade. And guess what is really good at doing that for both. It would have been perfect Transcendence. It's just the timing wasn't there, positioning wasn't there, unfortunately, and now Rift are going to be moving forward with that as well as a grab flux of their own, so they can play this more aggressively.
They don't have ammo. Their Sigma's half HP. I mean, the Flux is the only proactive tool you have here, unless you want to trance engage, which seems like a less than fun idea. They need to hit the follow-up on this Sigma, but the Immortality field is still up because they haven't pulled any resources from Dragon Dance. I'm not convinced this is strictly a winning fight for Rift. Yes, they have Q buttons to press, but they're not instant wins. They're defensive tools. They're peel tools. Finally, they get their foot in. The engage trance is what does it, funnily enough. But it took an engaged trance to get there, which feels kind of wild considering you're playing a poke composition.
And on top of that, it also puts you out of sync for what's to come, and that is not a position you want to be in. Dragon Dance are now going to have the blade to use, the grab flux to use, and there's not going to be that Transcendence to match it. And certainly, I mean, 2 minutes is enough time to cycle back into your next Transcendence, but what do you do until then? I mean, you just have to lose a fight. I think best case scenario is Dragon Dance doesn't commit to holding, but now it's just made a whole lot easier.
Oh, it's gotten infinitely worse. Yikes. Yeah, no it's spent for Dragon Dance. They're going to be coming into this last one, maybe two, with a full arsenal at their behest.
Just one used, but 4 available now. 90 seconds, Rift generating some of their own, but like we talked about, I mean, one of the big things that needs to come online for Rift is going to be that Transcendence, and there certainly wasn't a lot of ult generation for Abyss in that last fight. It just wasn't really anything available. Dragon Dance just obliterated Rift off of the map, and now Dragon Dance are going to start off aggressive, and they're going to get Abyss easy.
I mean, that just shut Excal down immediately. What more can they find off the back of this amp matrix? It certainly bought a lot of space, but Wingfish, like we said, unwilling to give it up without a fight, is willing to take a lot of damage, use a lot of resources. Any other Sigma would have crumbled under this pressure that Rift are applying right now, but not moving Fish. Steps forward into the 4v5. Not a drop of fear in their heart.
And just like that as well, wow. I mean, Rift are dropping bodies like crazy. I mean, and it's their own is the problem. 40 seconds here, and we still have, I mean, realistically, 2 fights that Rift have to win in order to beat Dragon Dance here on this 3rd map. Otherwise, it's a map 4 for sure.
They've got ults, though. Certainly a chance to end this thing here. Now Excal with the first blade chases down the likes of X10, picks them off before they can pop their overclock, slashes, hacks through what was meant to be a big gravitic flux from Astronex, but ends up being a later used. They do catch a couple members of the backline of Dragon Dance. They got one. It doesn't really result in anything. Now Rift just waiting for the spawns. They know they are closer. They know they're going to have to do this entire thing in overtime if they do it at all. 10 over top, has an overclock. Could end the fight, could send them towards the end of this map. It's just a matter of whether or not it connects. Right click after right click, sent down the bowling alley. None of them land a strike though.
Oh, they needed to find something there. Chime is down as well, so Rift just a hope and a prayer at this point, but they find Petal. That is a big pickup to find.
This is a very easily defensible position for Rift as well. They can wait for spawns here practically forever, right? Dragon Dance don't have any angles to play aggressively, so they have to sit here and wait and chip away at Rift and hope it's enough, but it's not. You can chip away. They will not crumble.
Rift, they move forward, but what do they have? They have Petal lying in wait and for sight at the ready, and really not a lot of good options for Rift to close the distance, so Petal's just going to be shooting fish in a barrel more than likely.
This is, again, another one of those positions that Rift can stay alive for a pretty good amount of time, though, if they juggle their line of sights appropriately. That Widowmaker is going to have a hard time forcing something through. Excal, though, could make the difference. Pulse bomb out. Metra manages just to dodge it. Overtime now beginning to burn even further than it already has. Astronex doing everything in their power to match the sustained pressure that Moving Fish outputs on an everyday basis. Rift have a way in. Petal and Excal are down. The end of the series. The end of qualifiers inside. Abyss continues to crack the can open as Rift cascade forward to the end of a Circuit Royale that puts a nice bow on things here in NA.
I can't believe Rift got the job done there. 2 teams that had to battle through point B. And then finally, Rift finds their way. They emerge victorious. What a way to stamp your way into the playoffs as well. Unfortunate ending for Dragon Dance. Again, a team just that can be perfectly summed up by almost, but just not quite, right?
Yeah, you have to wonder what's in the future for them. It's a good team full of really strong players, but it wasn't quite enough today. A 3-0 from Rift, but there were certainly moments to bring that back, especially on Circuit Royale. So Dragon Dance, like we said, I think in the right meta, this team looks really good, but unfortunately, it's not been a map pool or meta that's particularly suited to them.
Yeah, definitely the case. Rift, on the other hand, made the best of what they had as well. I mean, I certainly would say Astronext isn't the first Sigma player that comes to my mind, but look, they're able to adapt, they're able to overcome, and that's exactly what they managed to do here for their third map. Got them 3 in a row. That's we had two matches for ourselves today, back-to-back 3-0s. Rift, the second one.
Yeah, and with that, we solidify our standings, thankfully, which I think we're pretty close to the beginning of the day. Timeless was the only one kind of lying in flux whether or not they could pick up their win, but we got that answer within about 20 minutes, so the rest of it was kind of all gravy.
And of course, after this win, as we're summing things up for the end of the day here, Dora, we do have one interview left before we round out the round robin. So why don't we go ahead and shove things over to a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking with Yumitra. We'll see you there.
Do you like solving problems? Problems like how to stop that tracer from deleting your backline? I know just what you're thinking. You'll bring a turret. But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets. No refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.
Welcome back, everybody. As promised, an interview, we got Yumitra in to talk to for a little bit about not just that 3-0, but congratulations again on the qualification, man.
Hey, appreciate it, bro. Yeah, finally in playoffs in 2 seasons. Holy crap.
Yeah, I mean, you were fighting against it a little bit. We were making fun of you a little bit for what we saw in Oasis. I mean, what was going on in your mind, you know, going for some of those 1v5 plays? I mean, come on, we all saw it.
Okay, so for Oasis, right, for the first map, I decided to go play more aggro because their Winston just randomly jumps top all the time, so I booped them away. And I noticed, wait, their Echo Mercy is not looking. Maybe I could do more of this. So that's what I did. And then the second map, I did that again, but the difference is that I died. I was like, okay, I can't do that anymore. So I kind of toned it down just a little bit.
Well, fortunately, I've met less self-aware Lucios in my time, so you've got that going for you.
I mean, I was well aware I was running it down, but like, if I'm not dead, like, I just do more. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Give me credit for that one.
All right, yeah, I want to zoom in on something. Actually, before this series, you were one of 2 teams that was in flux today coming into the day. Timeless, it was contesting you for that final spot. It would have taken a bit of a long shot, but before this series, were you watching the last one with any sort of bated breath, or were you pretty sure you had it?
I was pretty sure we had it, not gonna lie, bro. I was pretty sure we had it.
I mean, you would have had to have lost your game like 0-3 or something like that. So, I mean, any
come
map.
on, bro.
Yeah.
But nah, for the timeless stuff though, we weren't really thinking much about timeless because like for what we were told, we only needed to take 1 map from Dragon Nest to qualify regardless, right? But like how we went through the game is just to win. Like we don't care about like qualifying. We just need to win the game, and that's what we did. Just straight up win, take a map, take 2, take 3, etc. etc.
And then I guess, since we've already discussed that first map, I would love to go into the second map because it was kind of a blink and you missed it kind of situation. What was it like just watching Chime absolutely obliterate the entire enemy team, basically 1v1?
What'd you feed that guy?
Bro, I was literally I was literally the cart princess the entire time. I literally just packed him. My Annie needs pack, I got you. My Biz needs pack, or my Chime needs pack, I got you. It's like, I don't know. It was not
You're saying you're taking credit for some of what Chime was doing? I saw some solo kills.
I mean, he needs some packs to live, bro. You think Echo wanted to go to 1v5? Nah, you need to break through double pack him.
Wow. But truly a thankless job.
I think a great. Just watch my POV on second Numbani. I was literally point the entire time. It was kind of just AFK packing, press E. Like that.
Easier said than done. It was a good noon body. Third map came around though. Circuit was, we expected it to be, I suppose, a tougher ordeal, and it certainly was for you guys. It was a very close map. It was at the end of the day, but
yeah,
it was kind of all over the place as well in terms of pacing. Both teams hitting a brick wall on B. Y'all gave up A, and lickety split. What was that map like? What was the ups and downs?
We knew immediately that when they pick Circuit, they're gonna play Petal. I think Petal's a very exceptional DPS player when it comes to those sniper comps. Same with Exile as well. So we knew that this is gonna be a little bit more difficult. But I mean, I think we did fine first. Second was a little bit iffy. Our attack second iffy, but the third, oh my god, the third one was pretty we thought there was many times. You know what I'm talking about? The third where they hold us third overtime. We have 2 fights and we won both fights. Yep. In our mindset that time, we were just very calm. We literally said, "Okay, guys, they window, just AFK, Sigma, AFK, okay." I mean,
it showed though. It takes a lot for a team to kind of, you say sit AFK, but there are only 1 or 2 points on C where you can actually kind of bunker up, and to bunker up for as long as you guys did in OT, I think the wick was burning for a minute 30 to 2 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
That took a lot of guts to do, but it was very clear that you guys were playing in a pretty calm state of mind.
We just knew that they had pick comp, so all we had to do is just live, and then they widow sights. They use widow sights, just AFK. They can't kill my Sigma. What? They can't kill him. Just AFK, literally. That's what we called, and then after that we won it in, and there you go. We won this fight.
So give us a little bit of insight into the outlook of the team. Obviously, you guys have now for sure locked in. You're going to playoffs. You guys have some pretty tough matches ahead. What's kind of going through your mind right now? Obviously, there's a lot of preparation still in the future.
So last week, right? All right, when we lost, I think we lost to Pip and all other teams. We were in the dumps. I'm pretty sure there was a third-party website we used to calculate our statistics on making it to playoffs. We had a 8%, 8 to 11% to make it.
No. The fact that you're using the website at all, I think, tells us where your mental was.
We were there was in our eyes, there were some games that we needed to win. We have to win it, but we didn't. And we thought that we're going last season going to go 9th place again, and just that was going to be very depressing. We got another 9th place. But let's just say some oopsies happened to, and we were able to make it to 8th. And I'm very happy with that.
And you guys should be happy with that. Is there going to be any celebration tonight, or are all sights on playoffs?
Not gonna lie, I don't know. I assume that everyone's gonna have to relax a little bit. What's playoff in a month and a half, right? We have some time to preparate. There's a new patch to figure out. I don't know. We have to figure all that stuff out. But right now, we just relax a little bit because I don't know. We've been prepping a lot for this last week because if we lost a single game, we would have been out. So.
Well, you guys managed to get the job done. Congratulations on a big one today. I mean, you only had to win one map. You went ahead and won the whole series 3-0. So that certainly stamps your way in a good way, I think, going into playoffs. Best of luck in that double elimination bracket.
Thank you.
All right, Hurix, that leaves us with just some formalities, some fun stuff to go through. Let's take a look at how today shook out. We had 2 3-0s. Hurix, you and I can't avoid them. I think we're like 4 for 4 on the week.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with us. I'm gonna blame you as I normally do for this, but either way, we do
in turn blame you. It's fine.
I will say yesterday for EMEA, we had some pretty surprising ones at least, but yeah, today, Good Boys got the job done over Timeless Rift. Obviously takes care of business against Dragon Dance. A little bit, more exciting towards the end, but either way, still a couple of 3-0s. Let's take a quick look at how everything has broken down as we've managed to get through every single one of the games. Now everything is locked in. Your top 8 are as you see it on the screen. 0-3 Splash, they're up top. I mean, coming into this season, Dor, they were obviously a top team, but we've seen a lot of movement in that top 4.
I will say 0-3 Splash notably did take a loss today to Pip, which is pretty surprising considering that Strider, at least is reportedly, not around.
That's what I heard earlier today. I'm not sure what happened in the match,
but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Either way, big win for Pirates in Pajamas. Takes 0-3 Splash down a peg, but not down a standing. And so with all that being said, that leaves us with this bracket. Your 8 teams that have qualified as of today, starting with 0-3 Splash and ending in a Rift, gives us this nice bracket. 0-3 Splash up against Rift to open things up. We talked about how important it was for Good Boys and Amplified to dodge that matchup against 0-3 Splash with just how strong they are. And unfortunately, I think that means it's going to be a rough one for Rift, but the next matches seem promising. Saints Good Boys is an opportunity for Good Boys to punch up like we were talking about. Wisp Amplify should be a good bit of fun too.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly looking at what Saints is going to look like coming into that double elimination bracket as well. Some changes happened to that team, of course, as well. But either way, a ton of action up in that bracket. You definitely don't want to miss it. We have some time off before we get to that playoff bracket, which I think is going to be necessary for a lot of these teams. We do have that patch change coming, and they're going to need time to make sure that they can address what they need to do to be ready for that playoff bracket.
Yeah, plenty of time to prepare. Plenty of time as well for you guys to go do your homework. Hit the follow, hit the subscribe button. Go follow on Twitter as well. All the OW Path to Pro stuff to make sure that you're caught up with when things come. Because, look, playoffs is a while away. It's easy to forget. So just let us remind you for you. We'll set all the alarms. And until then, bye-bye.
Oh, hello, Fancy Mini You here. It's so nice to see ya. Are you ready to survive the wastelands? Then you'll need to bring your shotgun, your axe, and of course, your knife. For your sharp wit, if you get my drift. Hey, whoa. Hold on there. Don't forget to pick up your Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Yeah, gearing up is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. And after that, watching the Overwatch Contender Summer Series will contribute to your drop progression, letting you claim your own wasteland-ready Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Oh, that's right. It's time to rampage. Now, get out there and slay with the Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Okay, take care now. See you in chat.